I'm John.
And this is Comicsplaining.
The show where we pull the drag chute.
Do we now?
Yep, we pull the drag chute. It's full of chiffon.
Whoa.
RuPaul is there for some fucking reason.
Oh no. Are we in the sky?
Oh, the drag chute.
Are we in the sky? Is RuPaul falling
Yeah.
out of the sky? Oh no!
Things are weirdly transphobic.
That's unfortunate.
Stereotypical.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
There's a lot happening.
Yeah,
But we're all having a time.
we are.
A time was had. Was it good?
I've been talking for so long about how we're going to pull the drag chute, and we have finally reached the episode where we pull the drag chute.
And why is this the episode where we pull the drag chute?
You'll see.
We will
In
see
the X-Men section.
in the second half of the episode.
Oh, so y'all gotta stay tuned for that.
Yep. But first, in some sad news, we regret to have to inform you of the passing of Don Perlin, who we covered in episode 1 of 6. He did Thor 212 and 213 with John Buscema, but he was an award-winning penciler, well known for his horror works over at Marvel and DC, but also over at Valiant Comics, where he came up with, God, I didn't write it down. I think it was called Bloodshot. Which is exactly the kind of name you would expect to hear in the mid-90s.
Yes. Oh my
Yes,
god,
it
is
is.
that ever a 90s edgy name?
Yep.
It was Blood something, let's put it that way.
Of course it was! Everything was blood this and blood that. It was the 90s.
Blood, everything was blood this and blood that.
It was the 90s.
Anyway, our thoughts to the family. We regret to have to hear that, you know.
It is Bloodshot.
It was blood. Oh my
Yeah.
god, I am so good at this.
You got it.
Got it in one.
Anyway.
Also, we watched the banned episode of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Well, we call it banned. They just pulled it from Disney Plus for...
Oh, they aired it originally?
Yeah.
As far as I can
Okay.
tell.
It's taken out of rotation in a lot of
Streaming.
syndication packages.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
This, I guess it makes sense that they made this into syndication.
Yeah, and Disney Plus doesn't have it.
Yep, but you can get it on YouTube if you buy it, so I bought it.
And
Yes.
it's actually like the perfect episode.
It's
Actually, probably the best episode we've watched. Now, that doesn't mean it's good. Nothing in this show is good.
No.
But it is a perfect episode of the show.
yes, of the show for what it is.
In that it nails baby's first fascism and why fascism is bad.
Yes, because the reason why Disney Plus doesn't have it is because it has depictions of the Red Skull and Nazis and Nazi symbolism and such.
But then it goes and explains why Nazis are bad, and it does one of the best jobs I've ever seen explaining what's wrong with fascists.
At a baby level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's what you need. You need that. That's
Like-
perfect.
Like, they pulled it because it has depictions of that stuff, but the thing is that that stuff is pretty explicitly bad in the show.
But then they go and flub American Indian stuff,
Yeah.
which is par for the course on this
Yes.
series. Oh,
I'm still just happy that he wasn't pink.
yeah, that could have been worse.
More on that later.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
If you're interested in blocked media, go look that one up. It was honestly decent.
That was what, episode 13?
Either 13 or 14. I think it's 13.
The one with the Red Skull.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's hard to miss.
Yeah.
It's the one that you usually can't find on your streaming
Yeah,
package
just
of
look
service.
up
Blah,
just
blah,
look
blah,
up
blah.
Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends Red Skull. Go over a couple, you'll find it.
You will. Absolutely. But now it's time to do our show. So, can you guys tell me what happened last time with Thor?
Okay, yeah. Mostly.
I believe in you.
Alright, so they were heading through space again, and they ran into a ship. Well, first they ran into the recorder
Well,
heading...
More like the recorder ran into them.
And they
Yeah.
didn't attack him because,
He's
Thor
a friend.
was-
well, they didn't know he was a friend.
Thor was just being cool, like, hey, this guy heading towards us at 1,000,000,000 miles a second. Don't worry about it. He might be cool.
Let's see how this plays out.
Well, Thor's kind of like that, though. He's like, yeah, maybe they're a friend.
Fair.
He's just a friendly himbo, okay?
He can be until he's not.
True.
But it turned out that he was indeed a friend.
Because it's the recorder, and the recorder is a friend.
So they came upon this ship, and the recorder sensors were like, yeah, okay, there are 2 types of beings on board. And they're like, okay, so they go on board the ship, and it turns out that there's this creature that's abducting all the old and infirm.
And sick
And it's a scary monster. And when they must kill it.
Right, and they're all just kind of living in decrepit conditions.
Even though it's a spaceship.
They're living in squalor somehow on a generational ship.
Yeah.
A world ship, I think is what they called it.
Right,
Yes.
They left their planet. It was under shitty conditions. This is pretty much WALL-E, only they didn't bother maintaining the robots, and they also didn't get fat.
Yeah, I think they did a worse job eating. They appear to be starving.
I'm unclear on if they actually have any kind of, like, farm facilities or anything that they put on there. You know?
Well, they probably maintained those about as well as they maintained everything the fuck
Well, the
else.
robots did that.
I assume, the robots
Right,
did the farm.
since nobody was bothering to maintain the fucking robots.
You know what I realized is that the explanation of the ship is, like, all the scientists on the planet pooled resources to make that ship. So why did the scientists who made the spaceship and also made the robots, why were they not there?
It
And
was
didn't do
outsourced.
anything?
That was outsourced.
Because they got on by a lottery and the scientists didn't
God.
make it on the ship.
The scientists didn't get on.
It was pure lottery.
It literally was. They said that in the comments. It was a lottery. That's fucking hilarious. Do you think it was the kind of lottery where you can buy extra tickets to get better chances?
No, it's the kind of lottery where the winner gets stoned to death in the end.
Cool.
But
So anyway, they get on board the ship and they had to fight a bunch of robots, and Sif, because she's a woman, got hit by one of the robots and immediately was fucking downed.
Yeah.
And
Their robots were really shitty, but somehow.
And that's why later she gets abducted by the creature.
Yep, she gets abducted by the creature, which is Thor's extra impetus to go help these guys deal
As if he
with
wasn't
it.
going to do that already.
Right, go deal with this creature. So Thor goes to beat up the creature, and he gets it to stop fighting, but all the extra guys go kill it.
Yeah.
Like, super kill
With
it.
sticks.
The aliens.
With sticks. Well, with spears, which were just the sticks from before in the decrepit conditions that were resting.
Yeah, you know, the civilization that used to be making world ships, they've been reduced to sticks.
And they find that all the old people, and also Sif, and also all the sick people, you know, all the people that it took, were just in another room, and they were fine, and it was a verdant paradise, and Spore, that was the creature, was just, like, taking care of them.
Yeah.
It never asked permission, which is not cool of it, but it didn't deserve death for that.
So to summarize it, it was like that one episode of Doctor Who, but worse.
This feels like an episode of the newer Twilight Zone from, like, the 90s. This sounds like something that would be a thing in that. Like, exactly down to the, and we killed this thing that was doing good stuff instead of bad stuff. We thought it was being bad, but it was actually good.
Yeah, and...
Wasn't that weird?
And then?
Then they left the ship.
Yeah. That's it. That for that bit, that's it.
And then they ran into the Great Gargoyle, who is now the head of a bunch of space dickheads.
So my understanding is the Great Gargoyle was never a space guy. He was just some guy on Earth.
We're gonna get into that.
He's the head of a bunch of space dickheads who have taken a bunch of other space people, he's enslaved them on his spaceship.
We just got blinded by a flash of lightning.
Yes, we did.
By the way, if you hear some ASMR in the background, there's a thunderstorm.
It's thundering cats and dogs out there.
Enjoy the atmosphere, I suppose.
Somehow or another, they got taken captive. I don't remember how the fuck that happened.
Well,
but now they all have slaver collars on
It's
them.
because the gargoyle is as effective as aliens when it comes to dealing with as guardians.
Because the gargoyle, all he has to do is touch you to turn you into stone. So he basically got out there and he turned everyone except Thor into stone. And then Thor was like, I'm going to fight you. And then the gargoyle was like, I'm going to smash Sif. And Thor was like, no.
Okay, you can turn me to stone. And, for a bad issue, watching Thor break, mwah.
That's happened many times.
I know, and when they do it, when these artists do it, it's good.
Yeah, the art was good.
It's not the art that's the problem.
I don't remember what happened next.
Stuff
it didn't really matter.
Slaves.
Yeah, they were just in there.
Yeah. So they got taken as slaves. They were sent to the furnaces. They were talking to the other slaves.
I remember that the recorder figured out how to take off their slave collars.
Yes, he did, and he freed everyone, and they were about to revolt, but then the gargoyle showed up. Oh no!
Cliffhanger?
Oh.
Yes, it was a cliffhanger. Also, things were happening on Asgard.
Yeah, the Enchantress and the Executioner showed up with an army full of dickheads.
And Revolutionary Balder has to defend the throne because he's been left in charge.
Yes.
Carnilla has also been trying to tempt him to take the throne for himself.
She's trying to turn Revolutionary Balder into what's the part Chairman Balder?
Revolutionary Balder.
She's trying to make Chairman Balder a thing.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
He did a coup.
Oh. I don't know. I feel like he probably wouldn't have to do a coup.
Because
he was literally left in charge, and everyone loves him.
And he was voted most popular in high school.
Yes.
All he has to do is...
Every year, he's voted most popular.
He just has to outlast Thor. In fact, you know what? If he asks Thor...
If Thor and Odin don't come back...
He's in charge. Genuinely.
Yes.
And you know what? I think if Balder and Thor talked about it, they might decide that Thor's happier leaving Balder in charge anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what happened. And we're going to go ahead and read Thor number 259 from February of 1977. Written by Len Wein. Penciled by John Buscema. Inked by Tony DeZuniga. Colored by Glynis Wein, and the letters are by Joe Rosen. And this issue, of course, as our recap suggested, has a continued content warning for mentions of slavery, but they escape in this one, spoiler alert. So, if that bothers you, this one might not. Because, I don't know, they're gonna get out. So, yay! Last we left off, our Asgardian friends were about to inspire a slave revolt, but the Grey Gargoyle showed up at the worst possible moment. We pick up there with our heroes facing him down, weapons drawn.
When did they get all their weapons back?
They had them the whole time.
That they did?
Yes.
Oh god.
They couldn't use them because of the collars.
Huh.
But there's some good news. He's not here to fight them. In fact, he's actually here to parlay, as he says that he needs the Thunder God's help. Thor is shocked and instantly suspicious, for good reason.
Yeah, that's fair.
It wasn't all that long ago that the gargoyle captured them. To prove his sincerity, his name is Paul, by the way.
Paul Duvall.
Paul Pierre Duvall, yes.
Amazing. He's French?
Yes. He's always been French, yes.
Oh no, he's French. He's French and he's in space. What is he doing here?
I'm amazed I remember that dickhead's name.
Right? He reaches toward Volstagg and carefully turns his collar to stone, rendering it useless and simple to remove. Why didn't we let Volstagg free earlier? I don't know.
Because Volstagg is useless, obviously.
He then also frees Hogan, and I thought the recorder already did that, but whatever.
I don't think we're keeping track of who's free and who's not free.
I thought everybody was free.
Yes, that's what I thought at the end of the last issue, but okay. With this, the gargoyle has at last earned the opportunity to explain himself. Record scratch. Yeah, that's me. Paul Pierre Duvall, aka the Grey Gargoyle. I bet you're wondering how I got into this situation.
Yeah, actually. I've been very curious what you're doing in space.
Well, it all started when I teamed up with AIM.
Why did you do that? That isn't... Everyone knows that's a bad idea.
They were going to launch a satellite that would let me turn entire cities into stone. Don't ask how.
Don't ask why.
But then Captain America and Spider-Man showed up to ruin the fun. Well, I turned them into stone, of course, and then we tied them to a rocket with the flimsiest fucking chain we could find. I'm sorry, but there's no way that is holding them on there in the first place, much less carrying them to space. But somehow, Spidey and Cap broke free of their petrification and launched a surprise attack. Paul literally says he doesn't know how they did that. The issue he's talking about, by the way, is Marvel Team-Up number 13, which Len also wrote.
Uh-huh.
I did go through that issue because I was curious for an explanation, and I'm excited to report that there isn't one.
Great. Thanks, Len.
Literally all you get in the issue is Cap speculating that the venom the Viper injected him with, which gave him super strength, had something to do with it.
Spider-Man does not have that.
Yeah, but he has no idea why Spidey resisted it. He literally says that. And that's on the last page of the comic, so there's no further explanation.
So Len's calling back a story he wrote that he didn't explain.
Yeah.
To say he doesn't know why that happened in another story.
Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Len. Explanation or no, that is what happened. So then, Cap threw the gargoyle away from the rocket controls, which wouldn't be a big deal except that the chain, which had previously bound the Avenger, and it did such a good job of that, somehow got wrapped around Paul's ankle, and I guess the rocket had already been set to go because it launched immediately after that, carrying the gargoyle in its wake.
A rocket so powerful that it could just go into deep space.
The extra weight threw off its trajectory, which is another issue with the whole tie the heroes to it plan. And instead of reaching orbit, it just shot out into open space.
That's not...
Yeah, that's not how that works. Paul escaped by turning the chain to stone, but then he was floating in an endless void with no way to escape. Even if you can survive in those conditions, that's kind of an existential nightmare.
Yeah, we did just leave Paul in hell.
And he was there for a long time. Months, he says. Though I have no idea how he would know that.
He wouldn't.
Exactly.
That's the fun part. He wouldn't.
He felt like it was months.
So how did he stay sane?
He didn't.
Ah.
He says he was on the verge of madness, until finally the pirates happened upon him and brought him aboard.
Well, I'm glad we're finally getting an answer for this.
About why the gray gargoyle of all people is in space? Yeah.
Yes.
But I feel like this could have come sooner.
Of course, he wasn't exactly a guest, so to avoid being sent to the furnace, Paul challenged the then captain to a duel. Luckily for him, these alien space pirates give a shit about that for some reason. Unfortunately, the gargoyle did miscalculate a bit, because the former captain was a much better fighter and quickly overpowered him. The observant will have noticed that I'm calling him the former captain and not the retired with honors captain. And seeing as we already know that the gargoyle is the current captain, we can all assume what happened. The former captain moved in for the kill, which allowed Paul to use his stone touch and then smash him to bits.
Rip?
It's kind of his MO. After his victory, he cowed the rest of the pirates and took command of the ship, which may seem like a fairly advantageous position for him, but here's the catch.
He's outnumbered and all of them hate him?
Well, yes, but more importantly, as he considers it, he didn't really want to be captain and was kind of just bluffing his way out of being a slave. He was thinking on his toes and focusing on what would save his ass in the moment, and only after he became captain did he realize it was a terrible gig. These space pirates are really shitty people in a way that he is not interested in being.
He has some professional ethics, I guess.
Yes, he turns people to stone and sometimes kills them, but he's not a slaver.
He draws a line somewhere.
He's got standards. On top of that, after being saved from his waking nightmare, he really just wants to go home. He misses Earth, and he hates these people, but he's kind of stuck, because if he shows any weakness, they're not gonna let him go. Like, he's in charge, but his position is tenuous at best.
They're gonna coup him.
Well, in a ship it would be a mutiny, my friend. So the deal is this. The gargoyle will help liberate the slaves, and in exchange, Thor will take him back to Earth.
Wait, but Thor, don't you have somewhere else you're trying to go?
Yeah,
well, it's not like he knows how to get there.
So
exactly.
why are you here?
Maybe it's in the direction of Earth. Who knows?
Maybe.
The Odinson questions why he would turn against his allies, because I guess he missed the entire story just now.
Thor.
Were you paying attention,
Thor, baby, were you not listening to why this man is not happy here? He doesn't like his job. He doesn't like his coworkers. He doesn't like the ship. He doesn't like any of this. He hates this. He's in hell.
Paul reminds him that in many ways, he's just as much a prisoner as they are. I mean, he has better accommodations for sure, but he also can't leave. So.
And he's also just as likely to die.
Yes. Then he leaves, so I guess we're not doing the revolt now anymore? Well, bad news. Phelon, the first mate, is onto them. He saw the gargoyle sneak out of his room and followed him here to eavesdrop. So now he must decide what to do with this information. While he thinks it over, we look back to Asgard. The Vizier stands atop a tower, lamenting the current predicament. With Thor and Odin both gone, who can hope to vanquish the Enchantress and the Executioner? He spends most of this page recapping at length what's going on to himself inside his own head. Which, you know, as a vessel for recapping is not the best.
Nobody needs to hear this.
Nobody needs to hear it, and nobody is hearing it, because it's happening in his head. The Executioner demands surrender for the final time, and for the final time Baldur refuses, implying that Scourge has been standing here asking this repeatedly for several minutes.
Scourge, go away. Nobody wants you.
Of course that's a no-go, so the invaders take their leave, but not before the Executioner destroys a nearby column in a temper tantrum.
Baby.
Yeah.
Gigantic baby.
With negotiations off the table, it looks like it's going to have to be war. Baldur is now the de facto leader, but he's not entirely confident that he can pull it off. Wartime, there's different rules. He was left in charge of the defense, so now
Hey, he was left
they're at war, so...
He was left in charge of defending the throne, and this is defending the throne. War is war.
Back on the Bird of Prey, Paul orders the Asgardians be brought to him. Phelon questions this, but acquiesces. I don't remember them actually coming up with a plan, but they must have, because Thor and his buddies have put their collars back on.
Okay.
They engage in a few moments of philosophical banter before the gargoyle gives the command to strike.
Put their collars back on is interesting, considering that several of them were disintegrated to dust.
Good point.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Yeah.
Maybe they got a couple from the other slaves.
I mean, the recorder did disable a bunch.
Yeah, so they put them back on, but they're still disabled, so yeah. I guess the recorder figured that out. He is a robot, so I'm not shocked. This kind of seems like a silly plan, but I guess at the very least they have the benefit of surprise. Or they would, if Phelon didn't already know this was happening. The Asgardians remove their collars, but are immediately surrounded by pirates with guns. These guys didn't have much of a chance before, when they were fighting.
Oh yeah!
On the launch ship.
Right. These guys weren't actually...
Yeah, they kind of got chumped, but we're supposed to believe this is a problem now.
Wait, hold on. Paul was the only heavy they had.
Yes. Paul was the one who actually did anything. The rest of them...
They were getting bodied.
Yes, absolutely. Thor asks how the pirates discovered their ruse, which prompts Phelon to monologue about how he knew it all along because he knew that Paul hated them, and now he's displayed his affiliation before the whole crew, so there's nothing he can do against all of them. I disagree. I think that Paul can still turn all of them to stone.
Yeah.
That's his thing.
He can still do that.
He can still do that.
He didn't lose that
It doesn't
ability.
matter how many pirates you get to mutiny, he can still do that. Phelon orders Prakash to set his Destructroid rifle at its widest focus. And whoo boy, is this guy gonna let him have it. Just as soon as he makes sure he knows how to aim and also talks out loud about it.
Then he shoots him in his asshole.
But then, a shovel
Oh, that's what that is. Wow.
That's a shovel. The slave revolt has begun. They don't seem particularly effective, but worry not. They were only a distraction. With weapons in hand, the Asgardians set upon their captors with their usual aplomb.
Wow, they really are just...
Wrecking them.
Yeah.
Volstagg with his mighty belly bump.
Even Volstagg is helping out, which prompts the recorder to make a super funny fat joke. Ha ha ha.
There he is in the thick of it.
The Grey Gargoyle seeks to slip away in the chaos, but Phelon never took his eye off that fool. He's got a vendetta. He hates that guy. He quietly stalks after Paul, eager to claim the position of captain by the obvious method of killing the current captain. You guys know how captains are like the Santa Claus, right?
Yes. If you kill the former Santa Claus, you become the Santa Claus.
Yeah, but with captains. That's how all captains
That's how captains work, yes.
And then if you put on his coat, you magically start becoming him.
Yes. The gargoyle reaches a hangar with a small shuttle. With the crew distracted, he should be able to slip away unnoticed, or so he hopes. But then Phelon arrives, and I wish I could continue with the joke about him hunting Paul, but no, he just stands there and yells. Like a lion would, I guess.
Roar.
Up on the bridge, the fight continues, thanks to the Asgardian heroes. The gargoyle leaps into action.
Why did we need that one panel?
Just to remind us that's happening.
But we knew! We can assume that's happening until he...
It's fine. Don't worry about it. He turns Phelon's gun to stone, and personally I would have gone for the hand holding the gun, but you do you, I guess. Of course the Lion Man has more than a gun, as he delivers a swift boot to the gargoyle's jaw.
So, question, is his powers only hand-based, or...
I don't really know.
I would have figured a guy like this, just touching him at all.
I think it is...
It's at will, I can say that much. He
Mm.
has to be intentionally doing it, but as far as I've ever seen, it's only from his hand.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's specifically one of his hands.
Oh.
Really?
I think so.
Oh, okay. So it's
I don't
a
remember
weird
that.
feature of his power, but...
I don't know. Can't he undo it with the other hand?
No, it wears off after an hour.
Yeah, but can't he also undo it with the other hand?
Not as far as I know.
Maybe I'm making that part up.
Maybe you're making that up, or maybe I just don't remember that.
It would be fun lore if it was true.
It doesn't matter.
This
'cause
is not a. This is not a.
This is a
knowing
lore cast
things
now?
about
the Grey Gargoyle.
This is a Grey Gargoyle lore cast. That's what this is.
This is not a knowing things about things podcast.
So, no, definitely not. We're not billing ourselves as experts on this shit. It's fine. Don't worry about it. No one cares that much about the Grey Gargoyle. Sorry to the one Paul Duvall stan out there. I didn't mean to offend you.
If you're a huge Paul Duvall fan, please tell us in the comments down below
How we got it wrong.
Yeah, how do his powers work exactly?
Specifically what
Precisely.
we got wrong.
Phelon then says, "But since my taloned hands cannot harm your stony flesh, I am forced to resort to one of those photon guns so that I can beat you to death with it."
What?
He's made of fucking stone.
But that's a really funny line.
It is really fucking funny.
He's gonna take a photon gun and just bash his skull, his rock skull in.
Yeah, because Paul went for his gun because he was thinking that would defeat
Stop
him.
him.
Right. But then Phelon's like, "No, you fucking moron. I'm a lion." Sadly, Paul wasn't quite as hurt as suspected, so while Phelon gets said gun, he sneaks off into the shuttle. Once he seals the door, he can open the airlock and space his mutinous first mate.
Fair.
But he took a bit too long because Phelon is back for round 2.
Wait, can't he still space him? Paul was in the vacuum of space.
Yes.
Phelon needed a helmet.
Yeah. Up on the bridge, the pirates realize they're losing. Yay! In their struggle, Phelon accidentally pushes Paul into the shuttle controls, activating the launch sequence. The autopilot kicks on, sealing both combatants inside and taking off through the now open docking bay. Len really wants to send Paul to space.
Len is torturing
This is his
Paul.
second time to do this. Victory at last! The pirates have been defeated and the slaves are free! With the fight over, our Asgardian heroes immediately realize that the gargoyle used them as a distraction to escape.
Wait, so where's their space boat?
It's fine. Thor looks out a window to see the shuttle flying away, and aboard said shuttle, Phelon moves on the controls, planning to turn them around. The gargoyle absolutely does not want that, so he jumps on the alien, but Phelon throws him off, and in his infinite wisdom, Paul turns the controls to stone. I would remind everyone that his stone touch is an at-will ability. It's not like a King Midas thing where it always happens. He has touched Phelon multiple times in this fight. So both of them panic and Paul tries to fix it, but the stone crumbles and then the shuttle explodes.
If he could unturn it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that answers that question.
Yeah.
Thor turns over the bird of prey to the newly freed captives and returns to the search for his father. What do you guys think of this issue?
I really don't care about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care enough to have an opinion about it.
You know what? That's a good answer.
2.5.
That's too much of an opinion.
No, I'll go for 2.5 because that's the exact middle of the 5-point scale.
You know, okay, you've
That's
convinced.
how middle of the road it
You've
is.
talked me into it. 2.5, up from not having an opinion.
I'm more interested in anything that was happening with the Grey Gargoyle than anything that happened at all with Thor.
You know, yeah.
This whole arc of so is the Grey Gargoyle dead?
I doubt it.
So he's just been banished back into the void of space.
Yeah,
Probably.
he's in hell again.
Only this time he has a companion, a dead lion man.
An exploded lion man.
An exploded dead lion man. Chunks of lion man.
Let's put it this way: no matter what happens happened to the Grey Gargoyle, I doubt we're ever gonna see Phelon the Felon ever again.
So true. I still don't understand why all the pirates were animal people. It was really confusing and weird.
We're never gonna get an explanation for that.
Nope, they just are. They're gone now. Whatever. Who cares? We're gonna move on to Thor number 260, which is from March of 1977, written by Len Wein, penciled by Walt Simonson, inked by Tony DeZuniga, colored by Glynis Wein, and lettered by John Costanza. Ripley, tell us about Walt.
Ooh.
Yep, one new name for us is going to be a favorite of Candace's. It is Walt Simonson. We're not seeing him on writing just yet, just on pencils, but let's see what I can say about him. It's a fun fact about Walt. Well, his interest in Norse mythology actually predates his run on Thor.
Oh, cool.
He was actually interested in it ahead of time, and then Thor grew to be one of his favorite titles, so he was really set up for his legendary run ahead of time.
Nice.
But it wasn't actually his original plan. Originally, he wanted to be a paleontologist.
Oh my god.
But he thought sitting in the sun was a drag and comics were more fun.
Okay, that means he probably tried it, because it's really easy to get into paleontology, actually. There's tons of volunteer opportunities, and then there's a lot of amateurs who just go out and look at rocks. It sounds like a good idea until you start doing it. And you realize, I'm going to be outside looking at rocks a lot. You better.
Some people are into that.
And they are. And
some people are really into that.
That's why there's amateurs out there.
Yeah.
Tons of them. They don't have a professional education in it, but you don't really need it to
but if
identify
you try
rocks.
it and you're not into it,
then turns out this isn't the life
go into
for you.
comics.
Yes, obviously. Go into comics. Indoors.
Yeah,
potentially with air conditioning.
So, Walt Simonson, in case you're not familiar with the name, he is basically the guy who in the future is going to make Thor good.
How far in the future?
Always.
That's what I figured.
Look forward to that. So the recorder is plugging himself directly into the ship's computer to copy all the information that I guess the pirates had. Because his job is to gather information, and also because somehow this will finally tell them where the hell they're going. Thor is concerned that this is dangerous for him, but the recorder shrugs it off, at least until he collapses from the information? I don't know. Thor looks really handsome in that panel.
Just Walt doing his thing.
Walt doing Walt. I think he gets overloaded somehow. I'm really not sure what's happening, but Thor saves him by smashing the computer.
Sometimes you have to smash a computer.
You gotta hit it to get it working.
Turns out Google Maps was just too much.
And then we cut away before we get any real information.
Oh, wow. Those
Ooh.
panels.
That's Walt, baby.
Oh, I cannot wait for him to start writing.
Back on Asgard, the invading army continues to stand outside the walls and be vaguely menacing.
You mean the army that was standing motionless before?
Yes. I guess despite their threats, the Enchantress and the Executioner haven't yet attacked.
For some reason.
Yeah, with the exact nature of this army as yet unknown, Balder has decided that the most sensible thing to do is to put on a disguise and sneak outside to check them out up close. By himself. The guy in charge, going by himself.
Oh, but, I mean, if it wasn't Balder, but it is Balder, he would.
He absolutely would. I'm not saying this is out of character.
It's
I'm saying
dumb.
It's dumb.
It is dumb.
Alright, but they can't hurt him.
That's true.
Carnella does her best to point out how dumb this idea is, but he's determined to live up to the trust Thor placed in him, which apparently means he has to do that.
He looks cool doing it.
I suppose.
Does he?
Does he?
He looks like he's doing,
The Ren Fair.
Green Goblin Ren Fair cosplay.
Yes. After leaving the city, he follows the glow of a campfire directly into the camped army. A group of the armored soldiers are sitting around the fire, but their camp isn't filled with the sort of chatter and restfulness one might expect. In fact, the warriors are eerily silent and completely still as they stare into the flame. So much so that Balder decides to literally walk up and touch one of them. Cool, dude.
Smart.
Good plan. At his touch, the warriors all spring to their feet and surge toward him. Rather than cutting his losses on this extremely stupid mission, Balder the Brave whips off his cloak to draw his sword. And the battle is joined.
This was dumb, Balder.
I'm starting to feel like that's what he wanted in the beginning. Honestly.
I mean, you know what? That's the only thing that makes any kind of sense.
However, as he slashes at the invaders, he is shocked to find that there are no men inside the suits of armor.
Shocking. I'm shocked. This is my shocked voice.
No women or NBs either, because these bitches empty.
Yeah.
Yeet.
That's kind of what I assumed.
Yeah, it seemed kind of obvious, to be honest.
Was it not supposed to be obvious? Was this supposed to be a reveal?
That happens all the time with these comics, where something seems like it was supposed to be a reveal, but it was obvious constantly. Interestingly enough, however, this gives our defender newfound courage. Empty shells such as these cannot hope to oppose the power of a true warrior god.
Fair.
He cuts them all down with ease, but in his relief he forgets about the true threat, and so is unable to avoid being struck in the back by a blast of green energy.
Did the green energy promise not to hurt him? Because if the green energy didn't promise not to hurt him, he can be hurt by green energy.
Beams, motherfucker. I don't think Beams promised shit.
Oh no, Beams did not promise not to hurt Balder the Brave.
The two things that didn't promise not to hurt him are beams and mistletoe.
Beams.
Those are his two weaknesses.
Not Beams. Why did it have to be Beams?
Returning to our A story, it seems that the recorder did indeed obtain the information that he sought. Thor supports him on their way back to the legally distinct Starjammer.
Did that
What did
always
they-
have
Which
laser
is,
cannons?
It is looking somewhat different.
Yeah. We've got some new styling on this ship.
Yeah, so since the Bird of Prey is no longer a warship, the Warriors 3 decided to do what Vikings do best.
Oh!
Misappropriate some stuff. Namely, all the weapons.
This looks sick as hell.
I get where they're coming from, but I think it may have been a good idea to leave a few weapons so that the people on board can defend themselves, but whatever.
Nah, I love what they did with the place.
I mean, yeah, it does look pretty cool.
Look at this, it's so...
Thank you.
It's so dumb, it's
Thank you,
perfect.
Walt.
Walt did I love it. I love this dumb-looking Viking longship with beams.
Gigantic fucking space guns on
Big fuck-off space beams.
They then somehow mounted and wired these weapons onto the Starjammer, which again is a longship made out of wood. Don't know how they did this, but it is cool. So, whatever.
It's so dumb, I love it.
Yeah, and that's the whole check-in. Back to Balder. It was the Enchantress who delivered that sucker punch to everyone's favorite Disney prince. The executioner commends her for the blow before stepping up to finish the job, while saying something about how their master will be pleased when they bring him Balder's head.
Good luck with that.
Oh,
Yeah,
come on.
Good luck with that one, pal.
I thought they'd gone into business for themselves.
Yeah, well...
That's disappointing to hear they have a boss, and we know who their boss is.
No, we don't. It's a huge mystery, obviously.
Oh,
There's no way we
right.
could possibly
We could
predict
never
it.
guess who they work for.
No, no.
Right.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for assuming who
You
they
don't
work
assume.
for.
When you assume, you make an ass out of you. But
Just
not...
me?
Yeah, just you. Balder rushes in without hesitation, and the two begin to clash. Sword against axe, they trade blows, with Balder taking the brunt of the punishment.
No, I love the way the executioner is looming around.
Yeah. His head is too big.
It is, but I like it.
Yeah, it looks good. It's very noticeable to me.
He looks ridiculously huge.
He does. It's okay that he's bigger than her, but his head should not be bigger than hers.
Yeah.
Not that much, at least.
Yeah.
So Balder's taking a lot of punishment.
Yeah.
Yet for every time he's struck down, Balder fails to react, which the executioner finds maddening. Is this someone remembering that Balder is invulnerable, maybe?
It might be.
Might be. Finally, the God of Light kicks his opponent back before shooting a beam out of his sword, which I forgot he could do. It hits the axe and shatters it into pieces before the stunned eyes of its wielder. As the battle turns, the Enchantress scowls. Scourge has the advantage in size and strength, but is outmatched in skill and raw chutzpah.
Yeah.
Her solution? Cast a spell to make him even stronger, obviously. Brute strength is always the answer. As the executioner is imbued with mystic stamina, he quickly turns the tide by beating Balder back with his bare hands. I did not intentionally make that line alliterative, but I didn't change it either.
We take those.
Walt Simonson draws a pretty woman.
He does.
He do. Asgard's defender is thrown backward and seems to reel as his foe moves in for the kill. Alright.
I mean, that's actually some pretty good contrapposto as well.
Yes. Time for more bullshit in space.
What the fuck?
With the information that he got from the bird of prey,
my.
the recorder was able to draw up a chart to their destination, meaning they finally know where they're going. Yay!
Goodness me.
I know stuff is supposed to be happening, but I'm too distracted by the weird robots.
Don't worry about it, I'm getting there. But before I get there, I've really got to ask, why was it the pirates who had this information and not any of the other people they asked?
That's a really good question, actually.
Don't worry about it, because something else is happening now. Volstagg cries out in alarm, drawing everyone's attention to a sight that is indeed fairly worthy of awe.
I mean, finally, this is fantastical in the truest sense.
Our heroes have somehow found themselves flying through what appears to me to be a celestial graveyard. Interred in intricately carved sarcophagi, the enormous space gods float through the void in an eerie homage to their former power. Despite knowing that they're all dead, Sif feels uneasy under the gaze of the towering celestials, and for good reason, apparently, as an enormous face looms over the ship before raising its hand to strike them all with a bolt of cosmic power.
Oh, one of them's not so dead.
Now back to Asgard. Just keeps flipping back and forth so fast. The executioner is prepared to do what he does best, and he has decided to do so with stick for some reason. Like, it's just a branch that he got off the ground. It's not sharp, and it's not particularly big.
Maybe it's a...
I'm really not sure what he's planning to do with this.
Is mistletoe a tree?
No.
Then no.
That is a huge misunderstanding. People have speculated that part of the reason it was mistletoe in the original myth was because Scandinavians didn't know what mistletoe was.
Ah!
Mistletoe is a vine.
Parasitic vine.
It's a parasitic vine. It grows on trees,
Aha.
but it's literally a vine.
But I guess I was making the same mistake.
Yes. I mean...
Maybe Lynn's making the same mistake.
I mean, he doesn't say it's mistletoe. He doesn't say anything. He says he's going to crush Balder.
Oh, you're right. Lynn would say it was mistletoe.
But, yes. But I don't think the stick is the right tool for that job. As he raises the branch to do the deed, somehow, I don't know how, but whatever, it snaps apart with a crack of light. Carnilla has arrived, and she's not about to let this fool ruin her toxic situationship today.
Look, this is her situation, and it will not be ruined by him.
And it's complicated as fuck.
I've recently become enamored with the word situationship. I love it. And it's perfect for them. The Norn Queen strikes with a powerful mystic force, but her attack is deflected by a shield as the Enchantress steps forth. I love this page.
Okay, we have some really dynamic magic combat going on here.
The sorceresses square off in a flashy magic battle, but the Executioner seeks to end it prematurely by taking advantage of Carnilla's distraction. Luckily, Balder has recovered and intercepts the attack, so now it's 2v2. I wouldn't exactly call it fair, but at least nobody is on performance enhancers. The battle is sadly quite short, as the Enchantress is so focused on the flashy spells that she doesn't notice Carnilla chucking an actual rock until it beans her in the skull.
That's one way to do it.
It sounds silly, but I actually love this a lot, because she kind of hid the rock in a spell, and I think it shows a difference in experience between them.
Fight dirty.
The Norn Queen has been around long enough to know that sometimes you just need to hit someone with a rock.
Yeah, you just hit someone with a rock in the face, and problem solved.
Don't need to waste your time casting a bunch of spells, just hit them with a rock. The Executioner has been defeated off-screen.
That's how much we care about him.
But before Asgard's defenders can regroup, a familiar voice issues a challenge. It's Thor, filled with rage and here to claim their lives.
Wait, what?
Meanwhile, Thor holds off the assault of the Celestial Guardian by whirling his hammer overhead, deflecting the beams of power. He can keep his friends safe, but unless they escape, the cosmic attack will tear the ship apart. Which actually won't be much of an issue because they can survive in space and Thor can fly, but whatever. Fandral and Hogan run to one of their new cannons, which fires a beam of sub-zero cold, quote, far more frigid than the bitter depths of space. I have concerns, but let's move on. I'm starting to think this thing isn't a real celestial, because it freezes and then Thor smashes it.
Yeah, I don't think that's how you kill a celestial.
It seems a bit too easy. None of them have actually said the word celestial. I just assumed that's what these were because
that's what they look like.
That's what I thought they were. Even I thought they looked like celestials, and I barely know what celestials are.
They're the right size, and I can't imagine why the creative team would put celestial-looking dudes in this comic if they weren't intended to be celestials. Maybe this one is just a guard robot or something? I don't know.
I didn't know celestials had guard robots for their graveyards.
I have no idea. I have no clue. My confusion is not going to end, I promise. Thor returns to the ship and his friends help him aboard, but it seems that their journey is complete at long last. Before them looms a massive golden wall, which I have to say again, looks like some celestial bullshit. I don't know why Len isn't saying the word celestial. Is it supposed to be a reveal later, or is he genuinely trying to tell us these aren't celestials? I don't know what you're going for, Len.
Maybe Len's not the one going for it.
What would you guys rate this issue?
I thought this was a significant uptick in quality.
Yes, this is an issue to have an opinion about.
3.5.
Sure, yeah.
I agree. I like this issue.
I thought both halves of the story were pretty solid. I don't know if we closed as solidly as we were for our beginning and middle parts, but...
I know I made a joke about it flipping back and forth, but honestly, that kind of really keeps the pace of the story going in a good way.
Kept the tension up.
Yeah.
So are we just keeping our brand new artist until he starts writing? Or...
No.
That's what I figured.
No, he's only going to be here for a little bit. What do you guys think this was rated on CMRO? The last one was like 2.3 or something.
Ooh.
3.81.
3.2.
Oh my god, John. I need to get John a prize. It's 3.22.
Damn! I did not see that.
No.
I have occasionally caught glances of those, but I did not see this one.
Which,
yeah, I was too high.
You were a little bit too high. John was spot on. somehow. Our next one is going to be Thor number 261 from April of 1977, written by Len Wein, penciled by Walt Simonson, inked by Ernie Chan, colored by Glynis Wein, lettered by Annette Kwiecki, and the cover is by John Buscema. Thirdly, we have another person.
Yep, one more new name from Ernie Chan. Fun fact on Ernie Chan is that he's not always known as Ernie Chan due to some immigration paperwork flubs.
Oh no.
Sometimes he's known and credited as Ernie Chua. He did eventually get that fixed when he became a full citizen. He's Filipino, so that's how all this happened in the first place.
So, between him and Tony DeZuniga, we're getting a lot of Filipino inkers.
There's a lot of Filipinos, yeah.
That seems like an odd coincidence.
Ernie's here, and this first page is gorgeous.
Wow.
Nice.
I don't think that Walt can get full credit here.
No.
Because he also did pencils on the last issue, and they were good, but this is
a comic we haven't seen. This is a comic that isn't going to exist.
I feel pretty confident saying this is a combined effort from Walt and Ernie.
I believe you.
I mean, I would be happy if you guys wanted to zoom in and look at it.
I do actually, because the way the space is rendered.
I would hit the zoom button, not the.
Wow.
Because it really looks very nice. The rest of the comic is also very nice to look at.
This is something special. This doesn't feel like the
no, it doesn't feel like
Stan
the comic
era.
we've been reading.
This does not look like the Stan era comic we've effectively been reading.
I did peek ahead, and I'm sorry to report that Ernie is just filling in and will not be returning. Around this era, it looks like he was mostly doing Hulk and Conan. So if you're interested in his work, check there.
Yeah, it said he did a lot of Conan.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was literally most of the page. Yes.
A lot of Conan, a lot of horror work, I think.
Horror too, and he was also on Hulk at this time.
So we're getting a bit of Thor that does not look like Thor at all, as far as we've been reading.
Yeah. Now, as far as what's actually happening on this page, it doesn't seem like things are going particularly well. The crew of the Starjammer have finally reached the quote-unquote Doomsday Star, which is apparently a planet of some sort surrounded by a huge wall that may or may not be celestial related.
So, the Doomsday Star is a planet.
Yeah, it's not a star at all. Again, I think that Len came up with the name before he decided what it was.
Of course, I'm holding back the hardest groan I have, given all the black galaxies and black stars.
You remember the black stars, which were all also planets?
Yeah.
You know what it actually reminds me of? Not to be a dork, but in Final Fantasy XIV, they call planets stars. And it always drives me insane that they do that.
In Japanese, the word is the same.
Is it?
Yeah.
That explains it.
Hoshi.
That explains it.
It's for stars and it's for planets.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. This doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. Look, it's just like how in Japanese they go to the ocean for some reason, when they mean they go to the beach. They use the word for ocean to do it. It's just one of those weird oddities of Japanese.
Yeah. Upon discovering this, the Asgardians immediately came under fire and now desperately try to evade, countless photon blasters exploding around them.
Ooh.
Imagine if these two had gotten to team up for more.
Yeah.
Imagine if they'd gotten to team up with a better writer. like imagine if this was a good storyline. Just
imagine if this comic was good.
Yes. Imagine if the comic that looked like this
was good.
Was good. Because oh my god.
Yeah, Walt brought us the longship with space cannons on it.
But also the colors.
I know.
Well, I mean, story-wise, Len brought us the thing.
Well, yeah.
But I bet you they would have looked, well, I don't know, it would have looked decent enough. But these dynamic shots.
True, I'm just saying you wouldn't have had the opportunity to have them without Len. So let's give some credit where credit's due.
Exactly. Hogan reports that none of their purloined weapons can help here, which seems dumb.
It seems very Len.
So Thor smashes one of them with his hammer. Why? I don't know. He then says that if they can't go through the wall, maybe they can go over it, which is... I certainly hope not.
if it's a wall, maybe they can go over it. It's dumb that there's a wall in space.
Who would build a wall around their planet and just make it like a normal wall that you can go over? Like, this isn't a fucking castle where the height of the wall is an issue in and of itself. Verticality is not a fucking problem in space where they are literally isn't even directions as we know them.
Gonna build a wall around the planet and we're gonna make Mexico pay for it.
Oh no!
Also, yes, I encourage you both to continue looking at the art because it is still very good.
This art is gorgeous!
Yeah. They do steer the ship toward the top of the wall, whatever that means, but find that it's defended by a perpetual meteor storm.
But the meteor storm is gorgeous.
Oh yeah, no. Trust me. Thor then orders them to sail below the wall.
Isn't there going to be another meteor storm?
That end actually has a celestial maelstrom, whatever the hell that is.
Also gorgeous.
I don't even have the energy to question any of this, so I'm just going to appreciate what an amazing job Walt and Ernie are doing with making this shit look cool and impressive.
I've never seen artists work this hard on such a bad story.
I really can't say it enough. It's really good. Go read this comic, even if you don't care about Thor. It's worth it.
Like, just look at this art. Mm-hmm. What year is this?
1977.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
They escape the space wind because Fandral projects a force field to keep them safe while they fly away. Hey Fandral, where'd the force field come from, and why couldn't we do that for the photon beams?
Maybe that's his, maybe that's what he's the god of.
Fandral? Have you been holding back photon beams?
Fandral, the god of force fields.
Force fields.
Oh. I thought he was the god of photon beams.
No. The photon beams are being shot at them.
Oh. I'm sorry, I'm distracted by the gorgeous art.
I know. It's really good, and it's beautiful. It's very dynamic.
It's so dynamic.
All the characters look excellent.
They do.
They have so much character.
They do. Even the recorder has character, and it's impressive because he's
a robot.
I mean, we don't know what he's the god of, right?
You're not wrong.
We're never going to find out either. Well, it's back to Plan A. We go through the wall.
Sure.
Not sure how they plan to do this, but Thor says it with confidence, and the crew is inspired. The God of Thunder raises his hands in defiance, calling on his birthright to harness the celestial maelstrom into his hammer and destroy the Golden Wall in one powerful strike.
Holy crap.
Which is again very pretty and almost distracts me enough to not wonder why he couldn't just control the space wind at the bottom of the wall so they could go that way.
Wait, no, god damn it. That makes sense.
It is very pretty, though.
It is. This is very pretty. This is all very...
Well, maybe he just couldn't think of that in the first place.
That actually makes sense.
Thor catches Mjolnir, dismayed to see that his strike, powerful though it was, barely made a scratch. Undeterred, he spins his hammer, prepared to repeat the process over and over until the barricade is breached. But he doesn't get the chance. In the blink of an eye, he and all his comrades have vanished, leaving only a smoking smudge on the deck of the Starjammer. Somewhere far away, a figure in a mysteriously colored outfit reclines in a chair.
I wonder who that is!
Who could it be? We can't possibly tell because they're wearing a cloak that covers their face. They smirk, pleased to see their plan unfolding at long last. Within moments, Thor and his friends will be out of the way for good. They rise and move to a large screen which displays Balder and Karnilla, who will shortly meet their own doom. And then, no one will be able to stop them.
Okay, Loki.
Who? I don't know who that is. There's no Loki here.
If that was Loki, there would be ridiculous horns. Don't be ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. There's no stupid hat. It can't be Loki.
Oh, right, because Loki was cursed to never be able to take off the hat.
Well,
clearly.
Loki has different hats, but they're all dumb. Loki takes after Odin in that way. Thor, or rather, fake Thor, responds to Balder's confusion. He was charged with defending Asgard, and he has failed. The Enchantress and Executioner lie defeated nearby, but before the stunned eyes of those present, they are engulfed in a flash and vanish. Fake Thor proclaims that they were mere illusions sent to occupy them while the real threat invaded undetected. Balder apologizes in shame and is forgiven, despite the fact that Fake Thor just said he was going to take their lives like a minute ago.
Hey, Fake Thor, stay on message.
Yeah. But the Norn Queen isn't so convinced. If their foes had been illusions, she would have sensed that. And also, I feel like she would have noticed when she was having a magic fight with Omora.
It would have been obvious if she was having a magic fight with an illusion.
So, there's definitely something fishy going on. And she is also very pretty. I can't get over the art in this
This
issue.
is so good, though.
I'm sorry I keep saying it over and over and over.
No!
But
No! You don't need to be
it's
sorry.
It's worth saying. I'm apologizing to the audience, not you.
Don't apologize to them.
Thor and his friends awaken atop a roof.
And
I
it
know.
actually feels like it for the first time in this entire series.
The perspective is fantastic.
They've been on rooftops many times,
Yeah.
and it has never felt like it.
All around them tower similar structures, and in the distance they can see the massive curve of the wall which they had been attempting to breach moments before.
Job done?
I really find this whole idea of a wall around a planet to be extremely stupid, but I don't have time to get into it. And also I think that everyone already knows why that's stupid and you don't need me to tell you. Somehow they've been transported inside this vast, deserted city. Or not so deserted as Volstagg points out. I notice it's always Volstagg who does this, and I wonder, is it supposed to be funny? Is this a punchline that I'm missing? Because to me it just seems like Volstagg is the only one who's ever paying attention.
He's the god of observing things.
And jumping.
Are these robot
Jumping.
cops?
This man constantly has his head on a swivel, and that is why he's indispensable to this team.
You are correct, but is that a robot cop?
No. Anyway, there's some robots on some weird tentacle-leg vehicles with guns.
I love their designs.
Yeah, they're ridiculous looking. Now I'm even less sure that this is Celestial related, because these guys seem relatively human-sized. Also, they talk, as one of them points out the divine power and nobility that the Asgardians exude. That must be the aura of free-flowing electrons.
Aha! We've found
Pull
it!
back. Another robot agrees, but says that there is only one way to determine if these beings are worthy of their worship. And so they open fire, taking out the top floor of the building that the gods stand on. Everyone escapes, but the group is split between two ledges. Worry not, though, because Thor plans to make use of that position. They draw the robotic attackers into the space between them, which is a pretty bad move for these dudes because they're instantly flanked and pinned. More metal men, down on the ground, see this and rejoice. The Asgardians are everything they hoped for and more.
Huh.
Still, that's no reason to go easy on them. Time to roll out the Cosmotronic Cannon, even though its power has the ability to tear this world asunder.
Well, it looks...
Direct quote.
It looks cool. It does look cool.
Yeah. Thor attempts to shelter Sif, but of course she argues because she's not like other girls. And then they're hit with a massive explosion that sends aftershocks so strong they effectively level the whole city. Hogan, Volstagg, and the Recorder have nowhere to go to escape the falling towers and are seemingly crushed. And the destruction continues for quite a while, until finally everything falls still. Nothing alive stirs among the ruined city. Except Thor, Sif, and Fandral, I guess? I thought they ate a direct hit from this cannon, but they seem fine. Something was not communicated very well between Len and the art team.
Yeah.
With the other half of their party lost beneath the rubble, Thor immediately proclaims them dead and sets off for vengeance. Because we all know that Asgardians are weak to rocks.
Yes.
That's why people always use rocks on Thor.
That explains so much.
It's their racial weakness.
And that's why Carl uses rocks a lot.
Yeah.
He has no object permanence. If you're out of his sight, then you're dead forever.
True. His first order of business is destroying that cannon, which he does by throwing his hammer at the barrel of the weapon. It smashes through, but fails to return to its master. It seems that the metal men have achieved this somehow, but that only earns them an appointment with these hands. Snarling, Thor runs in to rip up the controls of the cannon with his bare hands. He finds Mjolnir beneath it, but as he bends to retrieve his weapon, he hears Sif cry from above. Fandral has been felled, and without any men nearby, Sif can't do anything to not be taken hostage.
This is getting really annoying.
Yeah. She's wrapped in a metal tendril and lifted into the air, yelling for her mans to save her, because that is her purpose in the story at all times.
Because of course it is.
The Odinson leaps into action, rushing headlong toward his beloved and completely unaware of the shooter on the grassy knoll until it's too late.
Oh, that's what that is.
Yes,
wow.
that is a sniper scope.
It's amazingly drawn. I didn't...
He is struck with some kind of energy beam. It really doesn't look like it hits him so much as it kind of wraps around him, so I'm not sure what happened there, but he's down, and that's all that matters.
Knocks his hat off.
It does. Sif calls to her prince, but he does not respond, and so the metal men proclaim victory.
Rip Thor, what the...
Nope. Sometime later, Thor awakens with a killer headache. Groggily, he tries to determine his surroundings before remembering all at once and flying immediately into righteous anger. He and his friends are all suspended by some enormous shackles, which are attached to the floor, unable to free themselves as they turn to see the metal men, who are actually not robots or celestials, but they're just some guys in armor. They are some kind of funky-looking aliens with pure white skin and red hair.
Their designs are...
wearing robes.
wild.
They're wearing robes and decked out in jewels.
They get their own special lettering.
And despite the chunky armor, they're pretty thin and gaunt. And I just noticed that one is wearing pumps. And honestly, that dude, his ensemble is kind of eating right now, honestly. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's a good look. Anyway, these weirdos are called the Soul Survivors. And they say that they will worship the Asgardians for the rest of their days, which isn't ominous at all. And yes, they do have special lettering. Honestly, I kind of like their design. It's very different.
It is, and fine. We have been looking at so much of the same for so long.
Yeah. So you will all be happy to hear that Hogun Volstagg and the Recorder are not actually dead.
What?
It just took them a while to dig their way out of the rubble. And now, having done so, they emerge into the now ruined city to find it empty. For real this time.
Huh.
These three are immediately on the job to rescue their friends, and Hogun has a pretty good idea of where to start. He points at the weird golden tower in the distance. You know, the one building that looks completely different from all the other buildings? That's probably the place to go.
Hogun.
It's like when you're watching a cartoon and there's the one structure that's...
that looks
that's
animated?
Not painted. So what would you guys rate this issue?
That's hard because the story versus the art,
Yeah.
they're so far apart on this that...
The art is a full 5 out of 5 for sure.
Yeah.
The story, there are some elements of it that I really like. Honestly, I think the overarching idea could be interesting.
The story's a 3.
Yeah.
At best.
I set it a 3.5
Yeah.
total. Yeah.
I'd give it a 4 because the art.
The art's really good.
Don't want to grade them together. They're so unconnected to each other. I'm sorry.
Okay, give each of them a grade and then we'll
gonna
average it out.
I'm going to give the story a 3 and the art a 5.
The art of 5, okay. Averages to 4. Are you happy with that?
No.
Or do you want to take it down to a 3.5?
Lower. The story is that bad.
Okay.
I guess.
See, that's what I'm saying. I'm
No,
at
I
a
mean,
3.5
I get-
because the story's that bad.
I get what you're saying. I don't disagree. The story's pretty bad.
Like, if you remove the story and just left us with art panels.
Remove all the text.
Yes! This would be better if you just removed the text.
True.
And gave us art. But then a lot of these would be better if you removed a chunk of the text. Like, even the story, you could keep the story and remove tons and tons of text. Which is what later comic writers will learn.
I like how Hogun looks in that last panel.
Yeah.
He looks ominous.
As he should. He's called Hogun the Grim.
Someone actually understood the assignment.
Walt, clearly.
Oh, I can't wait for Walt. God.
Oh, yeah, you're all hyped up for Walt now, aren't you?
Yeah!
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, now that he's starting to get comfortable and he got...
I've enjoyed the Walt I've seen before on X Factor.
Yeah, but I mean, John has no experience with Walt.
I have zero.
before this.
I've never read
Look
anything.
at this page. Look at how good that is. Look at how that actually looks like the building is falling on them.
For once.
Yeah.
And we remember when...
It looks like the characters are actually existing in the space.
Do you remember when the Crusher picked up a building?
Yes.
And you remember how it didn't look like he picked up a building?
Yes.
It looks like they're actually dealing with buildings now.
The angles are very dynamic. The poses are very good. They're actually showing what's going on most of the time.
Yeah. This feels like a comic from the late 70s, except for the story.
Yeah. It's very, very pretty.
And for the first time ever, we're actually on a rooftop.
Yeah.
And it
Very good
feels
perspective.
like we're actually on a rooftop.
What do you think it is rated on CMRO?
3.2 again?
John, I now have to get you 2 prizes.
God damn it!
It's 3.21.
Fuck me running. What the fuck?
Guess I don't have to guess, which is good because I didn't know.
You waited too long, so I assumed you weren't going to.
All right. Well, while we've got you here in the middle, I think we're going to have to go through our stuff. Okay, Paul Duvall stands.
All Paul Duvall stands everywhere.
Leave a comment down below. If you're not a Paul Duvall stan, also leave a comment down below.
That is acceptable.
The fucking whiplash of going from that issue with Paul to Walt absolutely killing it on art.
Imagine if we'd gotten to see the gargoyle drawn by Walt.
Yeah.
Who do you think is Thor? Other Thor.
Who do you think the mysterious person in wearing a robe with green and yellow armor
It could be anyone.
Who could it be now?
We'll never know.
Leave a comment. Well, we will know. We'll know next
We'll know
time.
pretty soon, yeah.
So leave a comment down below. If you want to talk to us over on social media, we are on Tumblr. We are on the website formerly known as Twitter. Jeter.
Rip Twitter. With its official transition to X, because
Don't let Elon hear you say that.
That man cannot stand
a lot of things.
Yeah. Including a brand that's actually worth something.
We are also on, God, I'm so
Blue
thrown
Sky,
off, Facebook, Blue
Instagram.
Sky, Instagram, theoretically.
Tumblr?
If you want to talk to us over on Discord, we include a link every week. If you want to send us an email, we're comicsplaining@gmail.com. If you want to donate a few bucks to the show, hit us up over on Coffee. Comicsplaining yet again. We managed to get Comicsplaining pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, shockingly, the name, it's a really good name, so shockingly no one was really using it.
It's weird when you find that.
Right? It's a very good name, and nobody was using it, so we have great SEO.
If there's one thing we got, it's SEO.
It's not doing us a lot in the way of favors, but we do have it.
The only thing we don't have is a website, because fuck paying for shit.
No, I get that.
Hey,
you can
if
turn
you want us to get our own website, throw us some money.
Yes.
Over on Coffee.
Yeah. It's Comicsplaining.
As previously announced.
I think that's it. But before we move on, I forgot that I wanted to do this. This is episode 127. Our last Len episode is 132. So we have...
We aren't that far.
No, we have, 5 episodes left of Len?
Then it's Roy Thomas by the looks.
Indeed. So...
Roy.
We're also sick of Len. I have to start the Len countdown.
Are we going to need a Roy
this
countdown?
This has happened many... No, I hope not. But this keeps happening. This happened with Stan. This happened with Jerry.
Jerry had something that Lynn doesn't.
Mm.
He was the right man for a different
He was trying
comic.
shit. He was trying shit.
He was the wrong guy for this, but he was the right man for something.
Len is the right man for something.
Yeah,
Len has done a lot of things
but
that we
he's
enjoy.
the right man for something 20 years ago.
Okay.
I could ask you what happened last time on X-Men, but it's not going to be very relevant.
Yeah, apparently.
Is this the actual cover of...
This is the actual cover, because this time it's time to pull the drag chute with the New Mutants graphic novel from August of 1982, written by Chris Claremont, penciled and inked by Bob McLeod, colored by Glynis Wein, and lettered by Tom Rosachowski with a cover by Bob McLeod. A wolf leaps over top of Moira McTaggart on the hills of Anne Morag, Scotland, shocking the woman. If she thinks that's it for surprises, Moira's got a doozy in store. As before her eyes, the wolf tumbles to a stop, then begins to transform into a young human girl, weakly crying for help.
Well then.
Moira then realizes by the light of the moon that she recognizes the youngster well, having even delivered her as a babe. It's young Rain Sinclair, a wee bairn of only 14 years old. She now remembers some odd blood readings she took from the girl, and supposes Rain could be a mutant. She then spots a gunshot wound, and shortly after, the torch-wielding mob of likely culprits catches up with their quarry.
Ugh.
Led by one Reverend Craig, they're here to drive the demons from the girl.
Well, this isn't the first time this has happened to one of the X-Men.
Drive the demons from the girl with gun.
Yeah.
Well, we know Moira's one spicy meatball, so she pulls rank. Apparently she's a lady, and they're on her fucking land.
Ooh.
She lays her life on the line. They'll have to kill her first if they want to get to Rain.
I thought you were going to say she pulls a gun, because that's what she usually does.
That is what she usually does,
Okay,
but not
look,
this time.
I get that she's some sort of epic, legendary character, but I haven't met her yet.
No, I was talking about Moira.
That's what I mean. I haven't
Okay.
met that Moira yet. Not really.
We have, though.
Yeah, but not the epic, legendary Moira I know is coming.
Ugh.
But honestly, they probably know she's bristling with more weapons than the fucking Punisher.
Yeah.
The crowd clears out, though Craig's parting words seem to promise more to come, leaving Moira to sling the girl over one shoulder in a fireman's carry, to cart her off to relative safety where she can call Charles.
So, did Moira go back to Scotland after the last time?
Yeah, she's in Scotland right now.
Well, yeah, I gathered that. But, I
Yes.
mean, she was in Westchester.
Yes.
So she went back to Scotland,
Yes.
and now this.
Yes.
Just randomly. Okay.
Yes.
I was just confused, that's all.
Yep. She's just here for now. Believe me, she goes back and forth.
I mean, she does live there, so fair enough.
Yep. In Rio de Janeiro, a football match is in full swing.
Football!
It's going well for the Vylar.
Ole, ole, ole.
It's going well for the Vylar Thunderbolts.
Goal!
As Roberto da Costa scores a goal, out in the crowd, Emmanuel da Costa brims with fatherly pride, bragging about his boy to Berto's own girlfriend, Juliana Sandoval. He continues to kill it out on the field and is rushing for another goal when two of the opposing players foul him. Not just foul him, attack him for being mixed race.
Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
The pair simultaneously colliding with him to make it look like an accident, and the ref falls for it. The players don't even get a card pulled on him, and that's the last straw for the young hothead. He launches himself at one of his attacker's knees, and the bigger boy quickly turns it around on Roberto, though, pinning him under his weight and beating on him while he likens Da Costa to an animal masquerading as a human being.
Yikes.
I was somewhat familiar with this part of his origin.
I don't know this.
As he continues to wail on the boy, though, Roberto's form begins to darken to pitch black with a crackling energy field around him. His attacker, Keller, is caught off guard and attempts to flee, but is instead flung off across the pitch.
Yeet!
That boy is dead. Or at the very least, his football career is over.
Oh, yeah.
Prematurely.
You're not playing football after that.
Berto's overwhelmed and feels like he's burning up, but otherwise doesn't know what's happening to him, just that he desperately needs help. He cries out to his dad and girlfriend as the field clears, trying to reach his loved ones in his time of need, but this only causes a panic in the crowd, causing them to stampede towards the exits, the great tide of people carrying Papa da Costa away on its currents. By some miracle, where Emmanuel failed to reach his son, Juliana succeeds, leaping the barrier to the pitch to hold Berto's icy body to her chest as she pleads for help. Unbeknownst to her, observed by hands more sinister than helping.
Hello, Jingle.
16-year-old Samuel Guthrie's dreams are drying up before his eyes. The Cameron County, Kentucky boy seemed to be on the right track, with a scholarship to get himself an education. That was before his dad died of black lung disease. Happens working in the mines. Now the man of the house, Sam prepares for his own first shift in the mines, loading up his safety equipment at the crack of dawn. His first day is largely the same as it is at any job. Meeting your co-workers, familiarizing yourself with the equipment, learning the ropes, surviving a cave-in.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Wait. The ceiling begins to spill rocks down on the miners, sending them fleeing for the exits, all but one, Mr. Lewis, who's buried up to his chest in debris. Regardless of that, Sam refuses to leave him to his fate, rushing to Lewis's side, all the while ignoring his protest to evacuate. Then the roof begins to go. And as it does, Guthrie starts to panic. And with that panic begins a change. His eyes begin to glow, as does a field growing around him and Mr. Lewis in his arms, until it can intensify no longer and the pair shoot free of the earth like a cork out of a champagne bottle. Emerging safely on the surface, burying themselves in the earth in a heap, much to the amazement of their fellow mine workers, yet again observed by parties unknown, planning to use him this time before ferrying him over to the other side.
This is normal first day at the job stuff.
Yeah.
Perfectly normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recognize that stupid frilly sleeve.
I mean, I can guess.
Who can you guess?
Oh, God, I can't remember their names.
Shaw.
Yeah, that guy. That bitch.
Sebastian Shaw.
That
Of
bitch.
the Hellfire Club.
Yeah, I was gonna guess. It's Hellfire Club people.
In the Medicine Bow Mountains of... Well, we go back and forth.
Oh, is this one of those inconsistent ones?
It says Colorado this time. So in the Medicine Bow Mountains of Colorado, a native girl sits cross-legged in the snow. It's a moment of unfortunately rare peace of late for her. She's jarred back to awareness by the nuzzling of a mountain lion, Ridge Runner. She nuzzles the big cat right back, feeling his contentment through their rapport. Then he sits up, suddenly sensing the approach of a man.
Big kitty.
Kitty.
The cat dashes off into the wilderness once more, leaving the girl to face the intruder alone. At first Moonstar is alarmed, and then delighted when she spots her grandfather, Black Eagle, cresting the hill. She flings herself into his arms, but his news is sad. It's time for Moonstar to leave home, so she can learn how to use her abilities. Luckily, he already has a teacher in mind for her, one Charles Xavier, off in New York. Hearing his name is not welcome news to Moonstar, outraged that her grandfather would send her away to learn from some white man.
Ooh, to a white school. Ooh.
In her emotional outburst, Moonstar accidentally summons forth from her grandfather's mind a vision of him being beaten to death.
Oh no.
Cool.
Yet again the girl throws herself into her grandpa's arms, this time struck with guilt rather than joy. This is not the first time something like this has happened to young Moonstar. It's why she's taken to spending her time up here rather than in town, and it's exactly why Black Eagle wants to send her to Chuck so she can get her powers under control. But Moonstar still struggles with leaving to go learn under the tutelage of someone she sees as the enemy. But Grandpa insists that it just isn't so. Xavier, in his patchwork of pre-X-Men adventures, was her father's blood brother.
Great, of course he was.
Of course. Xavier.
He's got connections fucking everywhere.
So can she just chill about it, please? Tearfully, Moonstar agrees, yet again somehow observed. Drones? Surveillance state out of control? Something like that.
Satellite?
That's a hell of a satellite.
I don't know.
But we finally get to see the Watcher.
That's not.
That's
Sebastian
not
Shaw.
that's not the Watcher.
Unless he bleached his hair.
No, not him.
That is not the Watcher, no. Head too small, hasn't done enough
It is
interfering.
Doesn't live on the moon.
Donald Pierce of the Hellfire
Who's
Club.
Whomst?
You don't remember
the cyborg?
him? Yeah, the cyborg guy.
Okay.
I knew it was one of the Hellfire Club bitches.
And he's got Tessa bound up.
I just mentally went through them, like Sebastian Shaw, no, he's the one with the mutton chops. Let's see, that one,
Harry Leland.
that guy.
Who died once.
Who died once.
But he got better.
He got better. Mastermind, and then the cyborg one, who had light hair, so...
I guess this is the only one left?
Yeah, well, he's got Tessa bound up, and he's, Shaw's assistant lady.
I don't know who that is.
Sorry. Nope.
Well, Shaw's got this assistant lady who's constantly by his side, Tessa.
Since fucking when?
Yeah,
She's
actually.
always been here in the background.
Are you fucking gaslighting me right now?
No, I am not.
I don't remember.
You guys
her
have
at
just
all.
not been paying attention to her.
Maybe she hasn't mattered.
She really hasn't. That's why I
Okay.
haven't really felt the need to draw attention to her. But she's been here.
Okay.
I promise.
Okay.
But he's got Tessa bound up here, and he's also got a plan.
That is some interesting mechanism
findings.
there. Yeah.
I thought she was part of the computer for a second, honestly.
When Charles shows up to take Moonstar home, he'll kill them both as a warm-up for the Hellfire Club, at which point, profit?
Do you, though?
Why is he killing the Hellfire Club? Because they're mutants? He doesn't like mutants.
He doesn't like mutants.
Okay.
Just before dawn, Moonstar sits bolt upright in bed, crying out for her grandfather. She's heard his death cry in her mind, or at least thinks she has. In a panic, the girl grabs her horse and rides for town as fast as the pony will take her. By the time she makes it there, there's nothing to be done for Black Eagle. The old man lies cold and still in the middle of the road, seemingly the victim of a hit and run.
Yikes.
But after the image she manifested earlier, Moonstar knows better. And so she shakes her fist at the stars, swearing vengeance. Back at the school, a week has passed since Rain Sinclair's arrival. Though right now, Charles's machines are instead focused on Xiang Kuiman. Readings are one thing, but Chuck would really like to see her powers in action. It's one thing that makes Karma uneasy, not only because it violates her beliefs, but also because her subjects have a way of rubbing off on her if she remains in contact for too long.
Yeah, it's been a long time
yeah.
since we've seen her.
It hasn't been that long. The art on this graphic novel is really going back and forth with me, and Xian Koiman on this page in particular does a very, like, I'm getting whiplash between these two panels. Like, she looks really good, and then in the next one, she's, what?
I don't know.
But then, learning to control all that is what she's here for. So, after Moira volunteers to play test subject, Sean gives it her best go, easily possessing the scientist. She then demonstrates for Charles her ability to control Moira's body while retaining her own ability to move. The display is frightening enough for Rain that she transforms to a half-wolf in state, demanding that Karma return McTaggart back to normal, and only ceasing when the professor demands she do it.
Guys, this was consensual.
Finally, both girls stop, and Moira is released, not remembering anything from her possession, per the usual. On their way out of the lab, Xian gives a quick rundown on her backstory. We know it, but let's give a quick recap here for any newer listeners. Xian is a South Vietnamese refugee. She lost her parents fleeing the country and was forced to learn to use her powers to keep herself and her younger siblings safe. She also has a young evil twin, Tran, but he's dead now, so it's fine. Don't ask any questions about that.
She ate him.
Yeah, she vored him.
And
She needs to grow her hair out. I hate her hair.
yeah, that's what it is. Her hair is
Bad.
yeah.
He's dead now, so it's fine. Don't ask any questions about that,
no.
Professor.
Oh, I see, I see.
It's not like I vored his soul or anything.
No, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't listen to us talking about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Considering that both girls are self-taught, Charles is impressed. But that's hardly high praise for Rain, who considers them gifts from Satan.
Okay.
Of course she does.
Yeah.
That's where Chuck has to push back, arguing that they're natural gifts like any other, no Satan's involved.
Well, Satan's natural.
Oh, natural. Satan's big naturals.
Oh, no.
Mephisto's big naturals.
Mephisto would totally be in for that.
Absolutely.
As they sit down for lunch, Sean keeps talking about her fears of becoming like her brother, begging Chaz for training. But another episode of doubt washes over him. He can't, he won't throw more children into the meat grinder.
Good!
Moira mentally reminds him that the point of the X-Men isn't just to fight evil mutants, it's also to teach up new ones and train them in the use of their powers.
Yeah, maybe you should lean on that part a little bit more, Chuck.
Yeah, maybe you should stop with
Stop making child soldiers and maybe just raise children, perhaps?
And teach them to keep their powers in some kind of control.
Maybe teach them about peaceful social reform if you're worried about them dying.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff you could do instead of make child soldiers.
Yeah.
Can he really turn his back on these girls?
No.
She then doubles down, asking if he'd make the X-Men's sacrifice be in vain, to which I'd ask what sacrifice. They didn't make a sacrifice, they got kidnapped at a party by your girlfriend's sister, but that would make a bad pep talk.
Oh
Hers
yeah,
is better.
He still thinks they're dead. Right.
So Chuck agrees, he'll train the girls.
This is his rebuilding year.
Mm-hmm.
The doorbell rings and Moira heads off to answer, but in the meantime, Chuck and Sean have to discuss the matter of the rest of her life. She has a job and younger siblings. She can't afford to go to school. But that's no problem for Moneybags, who generously offers to just hire her on at the school.
You couldn't just...
Right, you have a mansion, bro. Just take them all in.
Right, take them all in.
Oh, Charles.
But Sean
Typical
agrees.
rich person.
But Sean agrees to his offer as Moira passes along the letter from Black Eagle explaining young Moonstar's predicament. Since he's taking on new mutants already, it seems a trip to Colorado is in the cards.
This is a real girl gang so far.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we have 2 boys, but they're not part of this group right now. So.
It's a real flip around from the sausage fest it was the 05.
I'm good with it.
They can stay dead.
When Xavier goes to answer Black Eagle's letter and is instead greeted by his dead body, to say he's dismayed would be an understatement. He'd held the man in great esteem, but it's not just that. Karma points out the difficulty they're going to have finding Moonstar now. Well, not so much. In the blink of an eye, the mountains of Colorado are transformed into war-era Vietnam, completely overwhelming Xi'an. But amidst all the illusory gunfire comes an all-too-real explosion that sends all the mutants sprawling.
Woof. Yikes.
From the skies, 2 armored figures on air scooters hunt young Moonstar down.
Hot pink.
What the fuck?
Hot pink juggernaut.
Barbie, Malibu Barbie Juggernaut.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
Oh my god.
She's kind of regretting her attack on Xavier right now.
John's dying.
I should not have gone for water.
It's a bad time to get a sip.
She's kind of regretting her attack on Xavier and the others, now recognizing they weren't her grandfather's attackers, too little too late. While her spirit forms, as she called them, worked fine on X and the girls, these armored goons are another story, and she can't get away. That's when Ridge Runner leaps off a nearby bridge, pouncing atop one of Moonstar's pursuers.
Which are a little too, smooth.
The manster shakes off the big kitty, though, throwing him roughly to the ground.
No!
Kill this man.
Where the big cat moves no more.
No!
Kill this man.
Ridge Runner!
Murder this man. This man deserves death.
Any girl would be distressed to see something happen to her kitty, and Moonstar is no exception. So thrown by the shock of her cat's death is she that she's not ready for it when Pierce's flunky grabs her by the forearm, intending to do the same to her. He would have, too, had it not been for Karma seizing its mind. She takes full advantage of it while she's got it, zapping the other attackers off their air scoots and removing her own goon's helmet for Xavier's interrogation. Of course, she said all this out loud with Moonstar riding along, so she also gets it into her head that she might be able to get at the thug. She reaches out to get vengeance for all the assholes have done to her, only to be blocked by Charles Xavier, calling her by a name that stops her in her tracks. Danielle. It's a name, at least according to young Danny, that only she and her grandfather know. But Danielle has some things to learn, as Charles was there when she was given that name. And now he's returned to help her in her time of need. The emotion of the day is anger. That help came too late for Black Eagle. She refuses Xavier's offer, but he won't take no for an offer, refusing to leave this girl to her own devices alone on this mountain, isolated and unable to control her abilities. After he offers to train her, Moonstar seems more willing to listen. But perhaps as the adrenaline of the fight wears off, she cries out in pain. Xian rushes to aid the young Cheyenne, recognizing her dislocated shoulder from years of warfront medicry. As they finish popping it back into place, X explains what he found on his probes. These guys are working for Donald Pierce, with the end goal of eliminating mutant kind. For now, though, the focus was largely on the bunch of them and 2 other boys. So despite no one being trained for this, they're going to have to split up, gang, if they're going to rescue the boys.
Great.
What Danny mostly wants, though, is to stab this guy.
You know what? Fair.
Yeah.
She draws her knife to do just that, but again Xavier freezes her in place, talking her down. He'll stand trial, they'll testify against him, and Danielle cools down, reasoning that it's Pierce she really wants anyway. Team Rio! Moira, Shan, and Moonstar have just settled into their hotel room when the police come kicking down the door. All they had to do to warrant this attention was call the DaCosta household. Moira protests that she knows nothing about yesterday's attempted kidnapping of Berto and successful kidnapping of Juliana, and one of the detectives backhands her for it. A likely story. They make the cart all them off for questioning, and Moira shoots Shan a look, spurring the young Vietnamese girl to possess one of the detective's minds, and he leaves their handcuffs unlocked when he fastens them.
Clever.
Yeah, because Danny was about to pop off, but then...
She's like, no, I got this.
We could do this in an easier way.
We don't need dead cops on following us around.
Or whatever the hell else you're going to do with your spirit forms.
Yeah.
Whatever you're going to do is going to be way more dramatic than this.
Yes.
We can get away scot-free.
All 3 of them are carted down through the lobby before a bunch of looky-loos. They're all in for a show. Just after exiting the building, Shan's hijacked detective decks the other one. He punches back, impressively enough managing to hold on to Moira at the same time. But she's not the priority. Roberto is. She urges the girls to rescue him and Juliana, and they slip off, disappearing into the bikini-clad masses because, again, Rio.
Right.
Yeah.
Before the cops can pull their shit back together.
Well, one pull the gun.
Yeah.
Christ.
That evening, just after sunset, Roberto aims to correct that not being kidnapped thing, jumping the fence surrounding his father's house before the wondering eyes of Danny and Sean. They don't know what he's up to, but rather than stopping him, the girls decide to follow along and help. He's going to need it. Berto reaches his destination in the slums of the city sometime later as Juliana's captors instructed, and the boy now gets a little brassy, demanding her return as promised. The Hellfire Goon he's met with is less than obliging, backhanding the boy to land in a heap against the wall with his dear Juliana, trying to play off the blow as nothing, pretty girl and all.
Right, he's a teenager.
When Berto asks how much of a ransom they're going to ask, the thugs break the news. No ransom, Bobby boy. They just want him dead.
Oh.
He immediately places himself between the thugs and his girlfriend, but as he does, that same transformation from the football pitch begins, much to the astonishment of the Hellfire thugs. They're only just getting their bearings back when Berto breaks out his newfangled ground pound attack, sending several of them flying.
Oh, these guys aren't in the same weight class as him, are they?
Clearly not.
But he's not done yet, pressing his surprise advantage, knocking the wind out of the goons. That would have done the trick for any of the normal Hellfire soldiers. Unfortunately for Roberto, once upon a time Wolverine got a little carried away back during the Dark Phoenix
that
saga.
fucking guy again!
Oh.
And carved up some Hellfire goons, And here we are today, fighting the Bionic Man ×4.
Man, you should have finished the job.
Guys.
He fights back the best he can before grabbing for one of the hunks of concrete ruined by his ground pound. Suddenly the transformation reverts once more, leaving only the boy face to face with one of his attacker's guns, betting that they just let Juliana go, which of course he refuses. But he never pulls the trigger, instead stopping to whisper directions to Berto. As soon as he moves, grab Juliana and make a break for it. A moment later, the goon attempts to open fire on his buddies, but with his bionic upgrades, he's actually too fast for Sean to aim with. That's right, she's got Danny, and these fools are all afraid of one thing.
Oh no.
Wolverine.
Only it's like the most horrifying version of Wolverine.
Good.
Slobbering with claws that are like larger than his arms. This is a Wolverine to be afraid of. This is a Wolverine made of fear. Oh no.
So she summons up a PTSD nightmare for the lot of them.
Hey, Mr. Goon Guy, Pierce was wrong. He's not...
Or he was as good as dead.
Yeah, he's not dead. In fact, he's...
Reports of his death have been greatly exaggerated.
stronger,
as always.
Stronger than Pierce have tried to kill him.
Anyway, Danny kicks one of the remaining goons, learning only too late that it was Karma's host. Whoops! Sean moves in to try to help Roberto, asking Juliana's help to carry him away. Still out of it, Berto somehow misses out that she's not with the kidnappers and attacks Sean, socking her in the stomach. It's a domino effect. From there, she loses control of her current host, who opens fire on the group.
Ooh.
Roberto's not going to have time to react, but Juliana does, tackling him out of the way of the gunfire.
Damn, this girl really likes him.
She really likes him. This isn't how it's supposed to go. And a furious Danny harnesses her spirit forms once more to summon up another Wolverine,
He's monstrous.
encroaching on the gunman. There's a cry of primal fear and the man curls up on the floor, trembling.
That man has peed himself.
Danny, too, is extremely shaken up by the experience, having felt a lot of it through the rapport formed when she creates her spirit forms. At least she made it out physically unscathed. Shan caught a bullet graze, but she too is in relatively good shape, at least compared to Juliana, dead in Roberto's arms.
Ugh.
Tears fall from his eyes as he takes all the blame for her fate on his decision to try to come here to rescue her himself. And now she's gone. Sean then explains about Xavier. Berto doesn't particularly care about Chuck, but he does care about vengeance and that fridge that just got dropped on his girlfriend.
God.
Yeah, we just stuffed her in a fridge, didn't we?
Yeah. I mean, obviously. We know one thing about this girl, and it's that she likes her boyfriend. And now she's dead. So that's two things.
That is two things. We know two things about this girl.
Yeah.
Team Kentucky. Rain and Xavier ride along the dirt road in their Jeep. Despite having to split up to tackle this at the same time, and Kentucky being closer, this takes place entirely after the events in Rio. But at least Moira's out of jail now. Shrug.
Sure.
Xavier feels guilt over Juliana's fate, wishing they'd been a little quicker to get to Roberto.
Maybe it was more like travel time.
Yeah.
I mean, Brazil is not that close, and what's the state of the Blackbird these days?
Question mark?
Question mark. Assumedly, in the
shop.
Who knows? He's still caught up in his thoughts when the Jeep is broadsided by a boy striking from the trees, causing it to roll over on its side, and that's all it takes to knock Xavier out. Rain manages to spring free from the wreck, transforming into her lupine form. She turns to drag Xavier from the now flaming wreckage. Cars just kind of caught on fire whenever anything happened back in the day, huh?
I mean, they did. Yeah, actually, that's kind of a thing that used to happen a lot.
But to her surprise, there's a boy already there pulling Chuck to safety. A few non-enhanced Hellfire goons climb out of a nearby helicopter, because Wolverine only julienned so many of them. They've got simple orders for Cannonball here.
Oh, I know him.
Load up Baldylocks and then get a move on. Sam would really like to search for Rain to make sure she's okay, but the chopper scanners aren't picking up any other people out here. It's time to get a move on. When Cannonball asks what they want with Xavier, he's told to mind his own beeswax. Then they load up and go, still observed by the distressed wolf girl. Scared and alone, she howls into the night, but while doing so, somehow picks up on X's scent inside the helicopter.
Sure.
Following desperately through the mountainous terrain.
Rain is really like, there are a lot of people who desperately wanted to be this character and didn't know it. Like, we all knew a girl in school who was, like, way too into wolves.
Speak for yourself, I wasn't social enough to know girls who were into wolves.
It touches down in a formidable facility, locked down with fences, guard towers, and dogs. First she makes a circuit to ensure he's still in there. Then she halfway transforms, jumping the first fence, transforming back into her full wolf form to say hi to the doggies.
Confusing the fuck out of them.
They don't much give a care, because she is a doggy. So she repeats the process to jump the inner fence. With one last impressive leap, the girl is carried onto the roof, where she listens closely through the skylight to Pierce's monologue. He's got Xavier and Tessa of the Hellfire Club bound as his captive audience.
Everybody's favorite character, Tessa, who we definitely remember.
Yes.
And know about.
With Charles hooked up to something called the Mind Tap.
Well, that sounds ominous.
They're gonna tap him for some fucking maple syrup.
Mmm.
Psychic maple syrup.
Psychic Charles Xavier maple syrup.
The sound of my sister laughing.
It's gonna suck dry everything in his noggin, and then they'll be coming for Tessa.
Tasty, tasty noggin.
Rain's distressed watching all this, unsure what she can even do when a foreign thought wafts across her mind. It's Moonstar. With her rapport with animals, she can sorta contact Rain in her wolfen form. Great news, it lets Rainy communicate back what danger the professor is in. She doesn't get the chance to say more. Cannonball streaks in to detain her, but is thrown off by her appearance, crashing off course into the ground. While Rain touches down much more gracefully. She bares her teeth, snarling at the surprise boy, who's managed to put together the pieces that she's the girl from the Jeep. Before she can act on the information, he sees the roof caving in on him again, just like back in the mine. And just like back in the mine, he takes off in a rather dramatic fashion, blasting through the building. Whoops.
Rip that building.
I love how Danny's power is just triggering people.
Right, power of shit your pants. It's a bit conspicuous and raises an alarm with the Hellfire thugs inside, sending them pouring out the front door, where they're set upon by Rain, going for the neck. As we know, she's not alone, and Roberto rushes in, hitting the wall to do something, causing an explosion.
Hitting the wall to hit the wall.
Could use some more clues, Bob.
He's an angry teenage boy, and boys, when they're angry, they punch walls.
Only his punches blow holes in walls.
Yeah.
Kyle DaCosta hit the wall and caused an explosion.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know what the fuck happened there, but much to his regret, this only stuns the goons. Berto's feeling bloodthirsty. Sean tells him off for that, forgetting Danny also wanted to kill Pierce.
Yeah, the number...
You can't kill him, I want to kill him.
The number of people who want to kill Pierce here is kind of high.
Form a line.
Only one of them can kill Pierce.
You can take turns stabbing him.
Suddenly Sammy comes roaring back onto the scene, ready to stop them from killing his boss. Something boss makes $1.
They must have, offered him a hell of a deal.
They said he's making pretty good money.
Yeah, he must be.
Anyway, he slams into the ground again, sending all of his fellows flying rather than the mutants, and opening himself up for karma to give it a go.
You are very bad at your job.
He has, no training.
He just started this. He just learned that he could do this, so...
But he's just opened himself for karma to give it a go on him, because they could really use him on their side.
Well, yeah, because he's nigh invulnerable when he's blasting, or so I hear.
But it's no use. In all the excitement, Sean can't concentrate, so she instead grabs a machine gun.
You know what? That if you can't use your powers, a gun is fine too.
Opening fire to scatter goons all around while ordering the rest of the young mutants through Roberto's newly opened wall hole.
That doesn't sound cursed at all.
It's fine.
As they climb through, Berto starts fucking up equipment. But if they want to save the professor, someone's gonna have to do something soon. So someone does. In her wolf form, Rain dives through the plate glass of the skylight, eyes
Ow.
and teeth only for Pierce's arm. They clench home, surprised to find cold metal and circuitry rather than flesh and blood. In her shock, she's completely unable to defend herself against the kick to the ribs that follows, throwing the young Scotswoman across the room and into a bank of equipment.
Owie.
She manages to shift form, blunting some of the impact, but to Xavier's horror, she still hits with a sickening thud.
Oof.
Pierce doesn't have time to finish her off. Mere moments later, Danny lowers herself down through the shattered skylight to take her own shot at Donny Boy. It's a no-go. His bionics are enhanced with psychic defenses that knock her powers right back at her, stunning the girl and knocking her to the floor. Yet another of the youngsters, DaCosta, comes crashing through the wall to keep the pressure on.
Oh, yeah!
While he does, Xavier begins to whisper to the gravely injured Rain, instructing her to crawl to one of the computer terminals despite her punctured lung.
Oof.
Ugh.
Roberto doesn't even get the chance to pop off a single blow before Cannonball collides into him with a thum.
Oh, boy.
But he keeps going himself,
Okay, we take those.
crashing into a bank of computer equipment.
Fuck these computers. Hope none of this shit was important.
Luckily,
Pierce, how much money did you spend on this room? How much are you losing today?
it's not the one Rain's working on, as the girl's still trying to follow Xavier's directions despite her grievous injuries. She can barely breathe, and still she persists, throwing a switch on one of the control panels. Meanwhile, the last of the kids, Sean, enters through the hole in the wall. Unfortunately, after who knows how much missed action, Sean's out of ammo. All she's got is her powers, and Pierce has still got some tricks up his overly embellished sleeve, zapping the girl to unconsciousness. With all of the kids defeated, Hellfire Bitch finally turns to Sam, ordering him to get rid of all of them. At first, Sam doesn't get what he's saying, ready to eject them from the premises.
My guy, you're a gun. You're a loaded gun.
Oh, he doesn't know that.
He doesn't get it until Donny Boy spells it out for him clearly. He wants them McFucking-dead.
Yeah. How much would someone have to pay you to get you to murder someone?
None, I would not.
You would not?
No.
Alright, well, you and Sam are probably on the same page.
I mean, I don't think he's getting paid that much.
Exactly.
Sam is a good boy, and he won't do it. Enraging Pierce. He draws a gun to send Cannonball to the grave, and Sammy powers up to try and take him. Then his blast field fades, and Guthrie sinks to the floor, unable to defend himself. The shot never comes. Pierce was a big man fighting children, but he's out of the little leagues now. Papa Xavier has stepped onto the field. Well, bad choice of phrasing.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of stepping these days.
The two men enter into a battle of wills. One of the world's preeminent telepaths versus the best bionics bigotry can buy. But in the end, Donald's hand falls to his side, the man now servant to Xavier's will. At Charles's command, Pierce unlocks first he and then Tessa. The professor explains to the kids what's going on. Then matters turn to how to resolve this situation. Sean takes over possessing Pierce for the professor because it's easier for her. That's good, because he can now turn his attention to Rain, who's in rough shape. Good news is that Moira's nearby with a hover car, so she'll be there to pick them up shortly, and they can get the girls some medical attention. That just leaves the matter of Pierce. He's not really sure what the hell to do about Pierce, but Tessa offers to take charge of him.
Oh yeah, we all know that we can trust Tessa, because we know everything about her.
Yeah, Pierce is definitely going to live through this, right?
Yeah, despite the fact that he somehow got the drop on her before. Don't worry about it, she's got this. But she could just lock him up and hook him up to the mind tap or something, I don't know. Whatever it is, it's not going to be pretty. The Hellfire Club is not going to be happy about this. Not that Xavier particularly trusts that, but Rain is hurt. They don't really have the luxury of sticking around to deal with him. And so instead, they turn and head for the door. All but Sam. He doesn't really know what to do. Instead, he asks Charles, but Roberto snipes back that he should go with their boss, leaving a dejected Guthrie to watch as the rest of them all disappear.
No.
2 weeks later, the inaugural class for the New Mutants is about to begin, with the youngsters suiting up into their new uniforms for the first time. Each in turn has their own thoughts. Xavier has promised to look out for Sean's siblings, no matter what happens to her, a relief to the girl, and on top of that, she looks forward to using her powers to help humanity. Roberto admires himself in the mirror while considering his choice to let Pierce live. At that moment, he decided he would never be like Donny Boy. Bob decides we need to have a shirtless Danielle for some fucking reason. She misses her home and misses her grandfather, and also considering her choice to kill Donald, and also considers her choice not to kill Donald Pierce. She honored Black Eagle's lessons by choosing life over death. Rain admires her new clothes, wondering how they reappear after she turns back from a wolf, which, yeah, neat trick.
That is a very neat trick. I wonder where you got that.
Sorry, I'm distracted by Danny looking at the top of this outfit, which is apparently revealing the deep lore that the structure of the outfit is the top piece is like a leotard, and then there's leggings that go over that. Because it has a crotch. It connects on the bottom.
It makes me feel like she's putting this on backwards.
Well, yes, clearly. But, like, okay.
Look, if she put it on correctly...
We wouldn't be able to see her topless, this teenage girl.
Yes. We're supposed to be oogling, not trying to figure out... They don't want us to do this. This is something that they don't want us to realize they've done a horrible thing with the design of the outfit.
It's not a horrible thing, though. It's a lot better than just having it be all one piece.
I mean, that's true, but...
It makes sense. The thing is, it doesn't make sense with the way that she's holding it right now.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying it was bad. I was more just calling attention to, like...
The design
We
choices.
finally know how this outfit works.
Yes.
That has been a big question. Why does... I can't...
Roberto.
Why does Roberto have a picture of Wolverine?
Good question.
I mean, I get the calendar. The calendar makes sense. He's a teenage boy. He has sexy girl on he has a sexy girl calendar. That's fine. Why Wolverine? He doesn't know Wolverine.
Great question. They all gather together in the foyer, looking good. Even Rain, apparently blessed with a minor healing factor that's got her ship shape now.
Good.
Congrats.
There's just one problem for Xavier. Danielle isn't obeying the dress code.
God. Get over yourself.
Oh, no.
Wearing hide boots and a turquoise belt. When he demands to know why, she answers that no one will make her abandon her heritage. And if Charles has a problem with that, she will leave. But even his past self's surprise, he doesn't bring her to heel, agreeing to the deviation. He then sends Rain off to get the doorbell before it even rings. It's young Sam Guthrie in a full suit because he's a good boy and I'm sure his mama sent him off in his best suit.
Aww.
His only suit.
While he shakes hands with all the girls, Berto's a bit more recalcitrant, still a bit sore about having been hit from behind. Rain argues that since she nearly died, she says Sammy's all right, He should get a pass, so Roberto relents with a jolly welcome, senor, which Danny teases him over, as he's not the one in charge here. The one in charge here simply smiles on the scene, though, his heart happy for the first time since the X-Men's disappearance, his dream alive once more in these young ones. How'd y'all like that?
It's not anything like I expected the introduction of the New Mutants to be.
4.5. I enjoyed it.
So, this was, our usual art team at the moment?
No.
Who was this?
We don't have a usual art team.
You're right,
This is
we
a
don't.
new book.
No, but I mean for the regular X-Men book. This, I think on inks looks
Bob
familiar.
McLeod's a typical name.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought we have at least some of our usual art team.
Who did the pencils?
Bob McLeod.
And we have Chris.
The name is familiar, but the art style is not familiar to me.
We have a lot of painting going on here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible that he just busted out a different style for the graphic novel.
Yeah.
That's what I think they did. That
Yeah.
they busted out a different style because they don't normally do graphic novels.
So we're
It
going to
happens.
move on to another issue of this, actually, after
Oh, God.
this. Yeah, we are.
Okay.
Seriously?
Yes.
Oh, God. John, rate this issue quickly.
4?
Okay.
All right. What do you think CMRO thought?
I mean, I did already see.
4.
I will take myself out of the running.
All right, 3.77.
That was close. You were disqualified.
Yes, I disqualified, and I was honest about it.
You were. Good job.
Next up is New Mutants 1 from March of 1983, written by Chris Claremont, penciled by Bob McLeod, inked by Mike Gustovich, colored by Glynis Ween, and lettered by Tom Orzechowski, with a cover by Bob McLeod.
See, you're about 6 years ahead of me, and you just pulled.
The Drag Chute.
So I'm gonna catch up with you real quick.
Yeah. Mike Gustovich is a new name for us, so what can I tell you about him? Not a ton. Looks like a lot of his career was spent with smaller publishers before he went on an inking spree with all the major publishers.
Okay.
He eventually retired from that to teach, but beyond that, I don't have a ton of information on him. You were commenting on Sean's hair, so you'll be happy to know.
Yeah.
A miserable Sean Koyman stands with her head in the sink while her classmates look on, because Stevie Hunter is giving her a sorely needed new haircut.
Hell yes.
At least by Stevie's judgment.
And I definitely think
and yours.
And I think I like the art in this one better.
I do too.
Rain looks on almost enviously. While Sean's hair is short, she can't seem to get hers to grow much beyond the short buzz it's at right now. Roberto kisses her hand, insisting that it suits her just fine. Stevie is definitely entertained, if cautiously so. She's worried that Rain's upbringing has her a bit innocent in the face of Berto's flirting.
Berto, your girlfriend just died. You move on quick.
No, he's not moving on. He's,
Just an incorrigible flirt.
trauma.
Okay, fair.
Trauma's weird.
Fair.
And indeed, she already seems to wonder if he really likes her after the small
boy.
compliment. Sean is less entertained, annoyed with the fluffy hair she's been left with after her towel drying. Danny, though, is quite chuffed, sashaying about, teasing a bit over Roberto's flirting and the makeover in process, and then things go wrong.
Oh dear.
Her powers slip up, and she accidentally pulls some of Sean's darkest memories from her mind for all to see.
Oh, that's so that's a thing that could just happen. Fun.
Well, when you can't control your powers, sometimes things happen.
Reminding her of the disaster that befell her family as they fled Vietnam. On their perilous journey from their homeland, they were besieged by Thai pirates. Her father was killed, her mother close behind him after further unpleasantness.
Oh no.
Sean too caught their attention, though she survived to protect her younger siblings Leong and Nya. Outraged, Sean leaps at Danny, tackling her to the ground with her hands closed around her throat. Stevie's quick to act, trying to pull Sean off Moonstar, but the furious girl instead seizes her mind, forcing her back. The dance teacher's intervention did buy some time, though. Roberto moves in to slap her across the face, and that at least gets Sean off Danny. though DaCosta still has to physically hold her back from Danielle because she's still raging.
I mean, I understand why.
If I could possess you, I'd have you rip the living heart from your own breast. I would make you suffer, but I can't let myself. It may have been an accident, but that's not particularly calming to Sean right now. So Stevie sends her off for a bit while she attends to the Vietnamese girl, holding her close and soothing her before dismissing the others as well. Roberto's ready to go track Danny down, at least partially because he's got some concerns that Karma might make good on her threat. But Sam warns him off. He's the eldest of many, several of them sisters. Danielle needs time alone right now to decompress.
Also, it just dawned on me we have another Bobby.
Yeah.
We do. I'm trying to call him Berto as much as
I
can
get
versus
that.
Bobby, but Sam calls him Bobby a lot.
Of course he does.
We have Bobbert and Boberto.
No.
While all that's going on, Danielle roams the halls of the mansion, looking through unfamiliar rooms. She stumbles into a messy one. Maybe Ilyana's, since no one else's should be unless Xavier artfully arranged a mess in this brand new home, in which case, alright, the grieving is going badly.
You know what? I could buy it.
Recreating their bedrooms.
I could buy that he did that.
Ilyana's off across the pond with Moira right now, so no need to worry about prying eyes, as Danny investigates first the room, then the ladder up into the attic. Upon completing her climb, Danielle is shocked to see Aurora's verdant garden paradise arriving her, but looking neglected and a bit worse for the wear.
Yeah, I guess she hasn't been around in a while.
The sight immediately breaks Moonstar's heart, and she gets to work watering the formidable number of plants. The work lasts through lunch, straight up until Xavier calls them all down for their first Danger Room session.
Ah, time to become child soldiers. Fun.
No math class, only child soldier class.
In London, Ilyana Rasputina and Moira McTaggart exit a car, summoned here by Israeli Ambassador Gabrielle Haller. Yep, she's back. Gabby needs Moira's professional help with her son, an autistic telepath, and maybe more. She thinks the autism is a symptom, except I'm calling it now. The X gene causes autism.
You know what?
Vaccines cause the X gene.
It's either that or the vaccines.
It's both.
It's both. Moira
It's all
doesn't...
connected.
The
government's a conspiracy. The government's trying to hide it.
They're trying to hide it, but we won't let them.
Moira doesn't know what she can really do for Ambassador Haller's son, suggesting that she take the matter to Charles Xavier. But Gabrielle dismisses that outright. See, there's one small but important detail. See, Charles Xavier, you are the father!
Of course he is.
Of course he is, that fucking piece of shit.
You left that woman pregnant, for fuck's sake. You didn't use protection. Look, psychic protection is not the same thing.
Oh my god.
Back across the pond, the new mutants gather in the control booth of the Danger Room to learn the ropes of its operation. But first they've got to talk about the X-Men. For no particular reason, Charles feels the need to instruct everyone to keep out of the X-Men's rooms.
I'm starting to think that, yeah, he really did rebuild it exactly as he remembered it.
But speaking of them, Roberto wants to know if they're going to become X-Men. X immediately snaps at him before collecting himself.
I'm sorry. The art team is drawing Charles looking extremely old.
No more X-Men. No more superheroes. The school is just that now. A school.
So why are they wearing silly costumes?
Yeah, why are they wearing X-Men costumes?
Because they're getting ready to go into the Danger Room.
Uh-huh.
To learn how to control their powers.
Yes.
And nothing else.
They could just wear gym clothes.
Yeah, actually, they could. Why aren't they just wearing gym clothes?
I guess the gym clothes wouldn't be reactive to their powers. Though the only one that would be an issue for is really Rain.
And you could make reactive gym clothes.
Yeah. Make her a special gym clothes. A t-shirt and shorts, Chuck. That's all they need.
That's all they need. They only need that.
But he's so extra. That wouldn't
Extra.
For extra power.
Yes,
oh,
exactly.
No.
See, with the warning that no one is to use the room without an adult present, Charles begins to demonstrate the room's features, including a new holographic environment feature that didn't exist pre-rebuild. Yeah, there've been some upgrades.
We're entering holodeck era. Finally, I was wondering when that was going to happen.
Yep, that comes with the Shi'ar rebuild of the house.
So it's alien technology.
Yep. They're going to be getting quite the workout going forward between Charles's training and Stevie's phys ed classes. She is qualified for this.
So they actually got her on board with... Because...
But who's teaching them math?
Charles.
Okay.
Oh, no, I hate that.
No, he's just psychically implanting it in their brains.
You now know 8th grade algebra. Congratulations.
Like the fucking Matrix. I know Kung Fu.
I know math. I know European history.
One of the X-Men level...
That hit you a little bit late.
One of the X-Men level training scenarios impresses everyone until one of the monsters within charges at the control room window. Then the wonder turns to panic. The kids all reacting to the charge in fear, though Sam at least tries to get everyone to get Xavier and Stevie out of harm's way. There's no harm to worry about, though. A moment later, a nonplussed Charles just dismisses the scenario, leaving the room empty once more. He explains that some obstacles in these environments are real and some are fake, and you never really know which is which, so you have to actually learn how to fight. But not just yet. Right now, they just have to cross the room.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
The classic.
The one that Kitty aced on the first try?
Yep.
With her eyes closed.
First up is Cannonball. It seems simple enough. So after a moment's concentration, he starts blasting across the room.
Good job. You're like the easiest one to plan for, my guy.
Oh, Lord, he blasted.
Everything seems to be going well right up until he smacks face first into a wall.
Uh-huh.
The boy can blast perfectly fine for sure, but he can't steer worth a damn.
Yep.
He tries to recover to fly over the wall, only to be slurped up by a vacuum tube that sucks him up and spits him back out at the entrance.
As I said, he's the easiest one to plan for.
Next up, Wolfsbane begins, trying to use her wolfen senses to navigate the room, but it's no use. Within moments, she stumbles onto an unsteady floor plate. First, it tips her down. She attempts to switch to her transitional form to get a grip, but even as she does, the ledge flips her up through the air again, back to the entrance.
We're really not sure what that looks like, huh? That transitional phase.
Well, there's a lot of... Transformations are kind of difficult in comics, and people are really never quite sure what that looks like.
Yeah, I guess that makes some sense.
Next up comes Roberto. DaCosta knows he's not in for an easy time. The professor has a heads up on anything he might choose to do. Just then, he's seized by a robot appearing from behind a wall panel. With a shimmer of crackling energy, Berto becomes Sunspot. He does his best to deck the robot, but instead of crumpling the steel, his hand sinks into it, sticking fast. Try as he may, DaCosta is unable to free himself and quickly burns himself out, much to the amusement of most of his classmates. All but Danny. As her turn nears, the girl grows more and more anxious. Next in line comes Karma. But for this test, Xavier has sent the last 3 back into the room to try and stop her. Sam makes the first charge, blasting at Sean, but she's not quite as green as the others. Quickly, she snags his mind, steering him possibly better than he fucking could, over into Sunspot. Unfortunately, the distraction leaves her wide open for Wolfsbane, who pounces on her, pinning Sean to the floor and licking her face.
Yeah, her hair looks way better.
Yeah, they did that on purpose.
Good.
That's why I didn't say anything when you were talking about her hair earlier.
Okay, let me be completely clear. The reason I did not like her hair was because it was that fucking... that extremely racist Asian bowl cut stereotype piece of shit. And also, it just looks bad. It looks bad, and it's also a weird Asian stereotype. I just want everyone to know that. The listeners, I mean. I know you guys know.
Last up, it's Psyche's turn. But by this point, she's pretty psyched out.
Aha!
Oh no, there's probably nothing there to stop her. This was the point.
Just like Karma, she's supposed to fight the others. But fighting Sean in particular after this morning has her a nervous wreck, worried she'll make good on her threat. She makes it all the way to the door of the danger room, when her nerves can finally take no more. With a loud cry, she whirls on her heels, sprinting from the room, terrified. Eventually, it's Rain that finds her on the edges of the property, padding up to her in her lupine form. She's picked up on Danny's low mood, written all over her scent. Rain rather likes her scent all around, but admittedly not just hers. She loves being able to pick up on all the heightened sensations the natural world has to offer in her new form.
So she's kind of gotten over the devilry stuff.
A little bit at least. Danielle can't say she feels the same about her powers. Her powers have only made her miserable. Rain never really had friends before this, but Danny did, right up until the Fire Nation attacked. Right up until she manifested her powers.
There's a raccoon in that tree.
There is.
It's so cute.
Oh, baby.
Raccoons are adorable.
They are. But she had friends right up until she manifested her powers. Then pretty quickly the youngster found herself friendless. Yet she still had Black Eagle and her parents. Then one night her powers backfired again, and she pulled a nightmare from her father's head in which a bear killed a pony and an eagle. At first Danielle wasn't clear what it meant, but shortly afterwards her parents packed their weapons for a trip from which they never returned. In hindsight, Dad was Eagle Clan and Mom was Horse Clan. Another death vision. And now with Sean, her powers have hurt someone yet again. Worse yet, she is really ashamed at having run from a test everyone else was brave enough to at least face. Wolfsbane continues to try to reassure her that it's not a huge deal, and they're all still learning. With Sean, she was just caught off guard. She's not still mad. If she had more to say, it's cut short by the honk of Stevie's sob. She patiently awaits the return of the girl, but at the end of her wait, it's just Rain, no Danny. She doesn't get why Chuck wasn't willing to search for her. His depression might be failing these kids, but it's not failing Rain's agility. Whatever practice he's been putting her through is dead on. With one precise leap, she threads the needle through the open car window into the back seat and onto the laps of her friends.
Yeah, I'd hit the side of a car. I would not make it through the window. I would hit the side of the car. I would probably break something, possibly permanently, possibly to death. Just leap, crunch, and that's my neck.
What everyone wants to know about is Danny. Is she coming along? Nope, she wants more alone time. The others are worried about their friend, but the car eventually continues trundling down Grey Malkin Lane towards the nearby town of Salem Center, unaware that they've picked up a tail. A car pulls close onto the road behind them. They've been watching Xavier's, and now that the kids are headed into the town, the government spooks from Project Wide Awake are right on their tails, just awaiting further orders from their boss, a flat top by the name of Henry Peter Gurich.
A man with the largest forehead I've ever seen.
As they're driving into town, Danielle walks back to the school. There's no sign of the professor, which Danny finds to be a relief. Rules are no one's supposed to use the danger room alone, but she doesn't want anyone to see her fall. As she codes in her training session, Psyche's hands tremble. She's terrified, but she won't let that stop her. Her parents and grandfather both saw their ends coming and faced them with courage. The least she can do is face this training session with her head held high. When she enters the room, there's a problem. Her powers only work on the living, and her opponents are now robots. Whoops. Small kink in her plans. Still, Danny's a fighter, even beyond her powers, and she goes to town, springing and fighting her way through a posse of bots. And then the test is over, with Moonstar crossing the threshold by the skin of her teeth. And it really is that close, because a moment later a stun blast follows her, striking the girl in the side of the head and knocking her to La La Land. While she's out, up in the control room, someone starts pushing buttons, deactivating the Danger Room safety interlocks and starting up one of the X-Men level hollow scenarios from earlier. Uh-oh.
Ruh-roh.
Oh no.
How'd y'all like that?
That was pretty good.
4 again?
Yeah, 4.
Yeah, I think I'm at a 4. I like
That was
that.
pretty good. And I'm not looking.
What do you think Samuro thought?
3.5.
3.7.
Why don't you just say 3.51? Do fucking Price's Right rules.
No.
3.56. You were pretty close.
Nice.
All right. Well, that is looking like it's going to be it for us.
It's a long one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be a long one. It should be a shorter one next week. It was going to be either a long one this week or a long one next week.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's going to be it for us this week. We look forward to talking to you next time. Bye.
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 That's very abrupt.
You really sounded very uncertain about that.